I'm glad somebody is.
I've just been in football all week.
We reset the narrative for the middle part of the fantasy football season, preview NFL Week 6, and as always, drop the latest injury news. Episode 407 of the Beerfield Podcast starts right now.
I'm glad that Ryan could do it.
Welcome to Beerfield, where we're beatboxing, apparently. I am your host at Beerfield Hop with two P's, as always, joined by my A1, my ride or die, the best thing to ever happen to this show. Guy that's never left me stranded. Has been here since the beginning. Ryan Miner, FFB.
I don't know if he was there for FFB. I don't know if he was there for
Underscore FFB.
Was he there for episode 1?
Shut up, saboteur.
Oh, someone's upset because they took someone else's advice and it backfired.
Aww.
Did you at least win that week?
No. Did you see my bench? Did you see my bench in that league?
Yeah, I know.
Did
it matter if you played Myers or not? Would it have mattered?
I don't remember. It was a 27-point swing. I would have had to put 2 of them in. So.
Oh, okay.
And then I would have won by like 15. So it would have been a lot closer. But which matters when you get out in tiebreakers and stuff at the end of the season. But
it just means that we get to love Jacoby Myers more because it doesn't matter who
because
his
he showed
is.
some upside with Bailey Zappi.
Well, I guess Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi is Mac Jones in a freaking costume.
I can't wait for Mac Jones to come back and then offenses suck and people are like, "Oh my God, you should play Bailey Zappi."
Clamoring for Bailey Zappi. Did show upside. Yeah, that did not go well for me. The saboteur is at Beerfield 30. If you didn't tune in on Sunday morning for the live stream, make sure you tune in. We do asking for friends, and the joke there is I had Jacoby Myers locked and loaded, ready to go in every league. I have him all week, and then I second guessed it on Sunday.
Oh, for God's sake, in one league.
Yeah, in one league. I kept him in the rest of them. I second guessed it in one league.
So did I.
And
so did I.
I played him in every league I had him.
Yeah.
Because then I'd have to pick between him and Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
I would have done what you did. I
know you would have done what I did. It was based on your advice.
I know.
And the running backs that went off on my bench, really not much you can blame me for there. I mean, I started Joe Mixon and Christian McCaffrey over Damien Pierce.
There was one that you could have. Well, y'all said Josh. Jacobs on my bench.
Yeah, it was Jacobs over Melvin Gordon was the argument that I think I could have made.
Oh,
I would have made.
That's rough. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, because when does Josh Jacobs had a fucking blow up game with the Raiders?
I know, but I mean, like, he's actually gotten production this year. It's like, I guess he's a 5th year or a 4-year breakout.
I guess.
So. I guess.
Oh, sorry, that's my Hopper. My Hopper advice would be Hopper. Who's on your bench? That way I know who to start.
No. Your advice is who is Dan gonna shit
I'm gonna tell you who's
Sunday morning,
and
you play that person 2 weeks in a row.
Who's Hopper gonna text Dan talking shit about them halfway through the game, and then they start scoring touchdowns and fantasy points.
Like the best thing about that game is that Gabe Davis, like that game highlighted exactly who he is. Boom, first half. 1 catch second half. That's literally Gabe Davis.
He didn't need to make any more catches. He got it all. They were dominating that game too.
It's so great because it's like, yeah, this is Gabe Davis in a nutshell.
It was a blowout. Josh Allen loves fantasy. He's like, all right, we got to get Stephon Diggs some. Now we got to hit some to Khalil Shakir just in case. We're just gonna keep piling it on.
The backup tight end had the same amount of targets as Gabe. Yeah. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, but. I said
Gabe Davis is Santa Claus, man. He's just the gift that keeps on giving.
I think I said, screw it. I feel a blow up coming. And then 10 minutes into the game, he went for 98 yards and a touchdown.
Dude, it was like
one play.
It was the 3rd fucking play of the game. It was so I was like, oh, here's Josh Allen throwing into the wind. Perfect pass too. Oh fuck. I'm sitting there, I'm like, when's Hopper gonna text? Hey Dan. I'm like, here we go. And I talk shit again and he scores like the next fucking quarter. I'm like, this is perfect. Hawk goes off when I talk shit. That play was fucking incredible by him. I will give him all the props to that.
That one-handed catch,
Oh,
blanketed in
one-handed
coverage,
catch.
yeah.
And he took the ball back away from Mika Fitzpatrick. It was a great play.
Gabe Davis is
not
a
today.
dude. He's a dude.
He is a great dude.
All right, we're going to reset some narratives. Speaking of that, so we're going to look at how some guys are trending. It's technically the middle part of the fantasy football season now as we enter week 6. We're a third of the way through for most people. So we'll reset some narratives, look who's trending up, trending down, latest in injury news, and as always, full week 6 preview. We're also going to talk some strategy and what you should be looking at your team for at this point in the season, and how you should be gearing up for the middle part and kind of playing that out, at least in our opinion. But as always, before we do that, we're drinking. Oh, by the way, I guess I should give the show social media. I've been really bad about that. We are presented by the FF Faceoff. You can follow them, fffaceoff.com, or and you can find all their written stuff, including Ryan's at fffaceoff.com. So if you prefer to consume via written media, ton there. We are at Beerfield on Twitter, at Beerfield Podcast, everywhere else. Now, let's get Beerfield.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Dan, can you drink again?
I can.
What do you
I
got?
got my taste back. I got my taste back. I think the day after
Nice.
our show last week. So I am drinking. I'm back to Oktoberfest beers because I took a little bit of a break, and I obviously had COVID. So I'm drinking Revolution out of Chicago,
It's a good one.
Illinois. I'm drinking their Oktoberfest beer as I'm kind of going through the 6-pack of Oktoberfest that I built. That I think I built like a month ago, and I've only drank one beer
What's
off of it
fueling
because
Beerfield?
day scheduling. So yeah, drinking Revolution Brewing Oktoberfest.
Did anybody else hear that? The drop hit again.
Really?
I can't
I
hear.
couldn't
any-
hear anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that, huh? Hold on.
I can't hear any actual drops.
That's why I did. That's why I did our intro.
Oh well,
I thought you could hear the intro.
I couldn't hear anything.
I thought he could too.
I thought. How on
No.
key was he?
Way off.
Which means I was right on key.
I forgot to share the audio so you guys get the drops. That's my bad.
Because I'm like,
They were
Do I
there
need to do
though.
it
I
again?
promise.
am I beatboxing again?
No, I'm not replaying it. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it on key now? Do you need some redemption?
No.
Beer review. Oh wait, no.
No, it's beer preview. Not even Ryan fucks up the fucking drop.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button.
Shut up. I'm drinking I'm drinking a
Oh, you
made
go
up
ahead.
beer. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm drinking a made up beer. It's a dry hopped Farmhouse IPA, which Farmhouse IPAs
What?
aren't real. So it's a Farmhouse beer. It's kind of, I guess, it would be close to a Belgian IPA. It's a Farmhouse beer that they hop the shit out of. It's from Crane Brewing Company.
I love Crane.
So they are out of Raytown, Missouri. So these were given to me after a BJCP class meeting. So it's a good. I've already had it before. Spoilers. It's good. I just got a rib because in class we're kind of like, what the hell is a Farmhouse IPA?
I dry. So it's dry hopped, right?
Dry hop,
Hopped Farmhouse. So it's a dry hop Belgian made by monks.
Yeah, it's
Look, that's the only thing that
it's a hop to shit Belgian beer.
Is there any malt to it?
I
suppose you can tell us it
mean, it's
on the review.
hazy. It's definitely got. I mean, it's got to have malt. It's beer,
my
right?
God, it
it's
looks-
not hop tea, but it's hazy as shit, and
It looks like
it looks like a Nipa.
it looks so interesting because it looks. I mean, maybe it's lighter to you in person, but it looks fairly dark
Probably got some
to
light,
me.
Probably got some light caramel malt in there.
It's gotta be. That's
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like light at the bottom and darker at the top.
yeah. It's just a very interesting build of a beer. I'm very much intrigued to hear your thoughts on it.
Absolutely, full review halfway through the show. I got a second one too, just in case I run out. That way, I won't forget what it tastes like.
That way you can just keep drinking the first one at the regular pace you drink them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Ryan.
Yeah, it's Gabe Davis.
I am drinking Evil Geniuses. There's no crying in baseball. Hazy Mango
Attaboy.
IPA,
There you go.
right?
There's
We're
no
back on.
crying in baseball.
I'm just
Unless-
glad it's not a Sam Adams beer this time.
I got like a few more left.
I'm kidding, but not really.
But this one's in Evil Genius Beer Company's out of Pittston, Pennsylvania, which
Yep.
also looks like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So yeah,
I like Evil Genius.
Nice.
I saw it and I never heard of it. It was like the only one I saw there that was.
We
clear
get them
Evil Genius.
here. We get them here pretty sparingly sometimes.
I don't know that I've had anything from them, so I'm also interested.
Wait a minute, I'm thinking of Evil Twin.
You are thinking of Evil Twin.
Yeah, and they're from. I thought they were from Pennsylvania too.
What?
But I think they're from New York. Actually, now that I think about it, I've gotten Pennsylvania beer, but it wasn't Evil Genius.
Evil Twin is Ridgewood, New York.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool, Ryan. He actually brings on a brewery we probably never had on here before.
Perfect.
Yay.
It's pretty good.
Love it.
Redemption.
Redeem myself. I'm gonna redeem
Redemption.
the-
Redemption.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Guy that needs some redemption, Devonte Adams. Let's just jump right in here. Devonte Adams got caught shoving a camera guy in frustration. Camera guy did go to the hospital, probably unnecessary.
He was butthurt.
Yeah.
Well, the legal team, like the guys on Twitter said it was the right call. Like that's what you should
No,
do.
that is what you should do if you plan on pressing charges, and he did, clearly. So there has been formal charges filed for assault against Devonte Adams, and the league will do something. This isn't, something that happened in a club. This is something that happened on one of their fields after one of their games. There's very clear evidence as to what went down. He's likely facing a short suspension and a fine.
We all knew it'd be a fine. I'm not shocked if he gets suspended by a game.
I think he'll get a
So-
game.
Yeah, just a game.
All the different angles and all the different excuses that I've seen people give him, like he didn't see him. I'm like, no, well, I mean, he may have saw him at second, but he still fucking pushed him.
You still don't shove somebody. Like, look, here's the thing, right? You ever go grocery shopping? You ever walk out of the aisle and somebody jumps out last minute coming across that cross aisle there and you don't see him? Do you shove Phyllis to the ground because with their
Let's know.
with their
I
bag
might now.
with their bag of Quaker Oats, or do you stop and say, "Sorry, man," or kind of like, if you are that close to touching somebody, like your natural reaction is normally to me, it's at least to grab their shoulders or something, not shove them to the ground.
Yeah, it's I get his frustrations. He's never done anything like he's never been in the news, which may help him avoid suspension. I just think as Hopper, as you mentioned, it's just
They're gonna send a small message with this one.
They gotta
do
do
something.
yeah.
I mean, he was already pissed off after that play. He slammed his helmet on the ground after that.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing you want to do is get in front of a pissed off guy.
Maybe he thought it was Hunter Renfrow. I mean, they're about the same height and size that he walked into. Maybe he thought it was Hunter Renfrow. He's like, "What the fuck, man?"
Hunter Renfrow was still laying on the field.
I don't know whose fault it was, but that was one of the worst. That was God. I mean, what the fuck, guys?
It was both. Actually, Adams got stuffed at the line, so the timing was off.
Oh,
Adams
man.
was supposed to be up and over, already beyond.
Over
And,
when Renfro had that cross.
Yeah, Renfro was supposed to be playing the under, and then that deep pass was supposed to go to Adams there.
But Adams didn't get a clean release, so
Right.
Ah,
Yeah,
got it.
that hold up.
And that would make sense if Adams is supposed to be going deep and Renfro's running across underneath. If he got jammed and the timing was thrown off, that those routes are going to cross if you draw the lines. So,
I mean, then why look to that side? It's like I think Carr threw it to try to draw a penalty. I think that was his choice.
He was. It
had to
get
have
sacked
been
too.
Yeah,
He was
true.
going to get sacked, so he had to throw it away.
That game, it's as interesting as it was to watch it. It was very aggravating to watch. Just
it was
bad calls, on the ref side, and just it's just some
Yeah, that
very
roughing the passer
questionably
call,
play
I
calling.
couldn't- I couldn't figure that one out.
there's been several of those I haven't been able to figure out.
The defensive holding on the kick, on the field goal, that was fucking dude. That was almost worse because of when it happened.
Yeah,
it was just horrible.
Bad game for the refs. Fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Good
Absolutely.
game if you had Kelsey and Mahomes.
It's kind of the anti whatever the hell happened on Thursday Night Football.
Oh. It was like if that got a little bit older and a
That
little
game
bit
was
drunker.
great. I love kicking.
He loves it all.
Kickers matter.
Look at that. We got a question already. We haven't even jumped into the show really yet.
Yes.
Would you
See?
Would you wait on Higgins playing, or would you start McLaurin tomorrow night?
I'd probably go ahead and start. Well, so it sounds like Higgins would have been available in situational type situations, I guess, but they were losing and they didn't play him. I guess my question is, what's your other option if you skip McLaurin and Higgins can't go? Because I definitely want T. Higgins playing out of those two.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday night game. Thursday nights have been consistently hitting the under. The Bears have not given up a ton of passing yards because you don't have to really throw against them. You can run against them. So, and they're not pushing pace or anything like that. So I definitely want T. Higgins if I have a backup option that I can use, if he doesn't go. Otherwise, I'd go McLaurin. Otherwise, start McLaurin and be safe if there's absolutely nothing after that.
Yeah, and maybe some options to look at in free agency or in your waiver wire if you want to go that route. You got Alec Pierce, who's coming off of some targeted games might be available. He gets Jacksonville. Devin Duvernay as Bateman is still not practicing. He might be held out another week.
Yep.
And Duvernay is the de facto number one. Not a great matchup against the Giants, but
Valdez-Scantling's in a good matchup and might be on waivers, and he's seen
Isaiah
5+ targets the last several weeks.
Back.
Is he? I thought he was still not practicing. Did he clear?
He cleared. Yeah, he cleared today, and he was allowed to practice.
I was looking last night. So, I mean, you may have some other options there to back T up. I definitely want T over McLaurin in a vacuum, but if you have to start Terry to be on the safe side, then you have to do it. But
I just don't love it.
I would probably wait on T and then pivot if I had to.
He's got Adam Thielen against a third quarterback Miami Dolphins, and we don't need to talk about Thielen again. But I mean, Thielen is also
fine with
just
that though. I mean,
he's in a better situation than McLaurin. I would play Thielen over McLaurin. I Thursday nights are just such a fucking crapshoot, and this.
Yeah,
and this game just does not spell any upside to it. There's no need to chase McLaurin, where it might be the Gibson and Brian Robinson show. Who knows?
Yeah, how dare you besmirch David Montgomery that way?
Well, I mean, saying for Washington,
David.
I saying for what?
Montgomery.
Oh my God,
Mahogany.
Sure. Wasn't talking about Chicago. But that's the only player you can probably play that in too.
Yeah.
From that team.
Wait on T. If you got to plug Thielen in, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Rule's fired. Finally.
Yay!
Steve Wilkes will be the interim head coach there. That means Ben McAdoo has full control over the offense.
Oh no!
Did you know Matt Rule's contract is $8,000 a week now to pay him out? That's freaking nuts. He'll make $8,000 a week.
That dude's who is the guy? He's the Matt Flynn of head coaches right now.
He is.
Yeah. He's not a head coach anymore.
Or the Chase Daniel, except he'd have to bounce around the league a little bit more for that and just continuously get fired. I don't know. Anyway, he's gone. Baker Mayfield is going to miss this week. We'll talk more about impacts to the Panthers here in a minute. We'll just say that, Ben McAdoo as a coordinator was not nearly as bad as Ben McAdoo as a head coach, but that was also 10+ years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And the Panthers, firing a Matt Rule doesn't solve the problems.
No, it does not.
So.
Not in the least bit.
Nope.
Drew Lock is an interesting note came out on Sleeper today.
Oh, my God.
Drew Lock is nipping at the heels of Geno Smith, and Geno Smith is leading the league in passer rating. So,
what is Seattle's record? Are they 2-3?
They're 2-3. And it's
you can't even make that argument.
Geno Smith's problem. Why is this
not even close?
Why is Pete Carroll saying this? Are they too good? Are they really trying to tank for?
In what world did anyone expect Geno Smith to be the best quote unquote quarterback in Seattle's offense to be one of the better teams for? My fucking mind
Not
better than the Broncos.
Freaking person. I buy into Geno Smith, and now we get Drew Lockneys.
This is what happens when I dunked on this entire fucking team.
Yeah.
And now DK Metcalf's a wide receiver 1. Tyler Lockett's a wide receiver 1. Kenneth Walker's about to win people leagues. You can kind of play Will Dissly.
Geno Smith has saved my ass from Russell Wilson in more places
than one. What the fuck
is
this year?
Yeah.
Shit's getting real.
I love
2022.
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to lift the mask, and it's going to be
Russell Wilson.
Know. It's going to be actually Russell Wilson. I fooled you fuckers.
Gardner.
I didn't go to.
It's going to be Gardner
Minshew. A couple signings to note. Cardinals signed Tyson Williams after their entire backfield got banged up. Saints worked out Jordan Howard, Jordan Wilkins, and 2 others. Didn't look to see if they signed any of them or not. So, yeah.
Jordan Howard signed.
Did he?
Are they also named Jordan?
No.
It was
AJ Rose and somebody else.
Oof.
They're in the jump man room.
49ers signed kicker Sam Sloman. Robbie Gould's dealing with a knee bruise, so if your league has kickers, take note. And the Seahawks signed Tony Jones after the Rashad Penny injury. So, a couple things to be aware of there. I know DJ Dallas is a hot waiver pickup for receiving game work. We'll see how Kenneth Walker gets used. Running back injuries come in bunches for the Seahawks. That's been true for a while.
Yeah.
49ers released Marlon Mack off their practice squad. Patriots waived Little Jordan Humphrey. Rams waived Jake Funk. Just a couple fun names for us in there.
Oh, Little Jordan Humphrey, man. If you could have only ran fucking fast.
Right.
Jesus
only
Christ.
You were faster.
If only you were slightly more
really
athletic.
big Jordan.
Yeah.
Brian, Jesus Christ.
N'Keal Harry was activated by the Bears off IR. They desperately need some receiving help, so the former first-round pick will have a shot to do something because Dante Pettis ain't it, and Velus Jones ain't it. So he'll get a chance. Greg Dulcich activated by the Broncos because that tight end room isn't messy enough. And some guys going to IR. Ashton Doolin sent to IR at the foot injury. Good news for Alec Pierce. We've seen him kind of take off the last couple weeks as far as target share goes. He's pretty much a locked and loaded wide receiver 2-3 at this point that you could have gotten on waivers. I don't know if you still can. I did in a couple places. Dalton Schultz re-aggravated the knee. That's after 2 weeks of zeros from him.
Yeah, they should probably just sat him.
Yeah, you should. So we should probably just stay away from that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they're so afraid to put anyone on IR. Like, why didn't you put Dak on IR too at the same time?
You should have. I don't know.
Because Dak wanted to convince them that he could return early.
And he's not going to be back until next week, probably at the earliest.
Fucking stupid.
Logan Thomas and Jahan Dotson both dealing with soft tissue issues, so questionable for Thursday.
I think they're already.
they're
already.
Logan Thompson's been low. Yeah, he's already.
And Dotson's already out too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield already ruled out with a high ankle sprain. Ruled out. With a high ankle sprain. PJ Walker is going to start for Carolina.
Oh
yeah, it's PJ Walker.
No.
I owned him. I rostered him for 7 hours.
Can it get any worse?
I mean, have you seen PJ Walker play?
Ryan, I legitimately pulled up my quarterback roster and saw Taylor Heineke and Gardner Minshew and Andy Dalton sitting there and said, no, I don't want to offer any of them, and kept moving.
Yeah, but you saw I traded him right away. Like, I had an offer.
I did see that for a 4th rounder. I was going to pick Zach Zinner back up and offer it. That is a super deep league, by the way. For those wondering how the hell Zach Zinner is relevant. He's not. But neither is anybody else on waivers.
For this conversation, he is.
Yeah, so I just like to have
when we're
some
playing
fun
over PJ Walker, it's quite the game.
With the whatever names are still in sleeper. For whatever
all made
reason.
up.
Yeah.
All made up names, actually.
It's above 5 fantasy points. You're like, all right, I got to put a waiver claim in for him.
Yeah.
I just picked up 3 kickers in Scott Fishbowl.
That's so great. I mean, when you're 2-8,
everybody's hurt and I need points. Yeah. Give me all the kickers.
When you're 2-8, you just gotta say fuck it and go for the brand.
Some bitch into a leg league. You can start up to 4 of them.
It's so good.
Damian Harris is gonna miss multiple games with a hamstring injury, so Ramondre Stevenson to the moon.
Yeah, he's
RB1. Pushing it probably.
RB2 floor. RB2 floor with very
one
good
upside. Yep. Teddy and Tua both still in concussion protocol. Tua back in practice on a limited basis, but we ruled out this week. Skylar something or another will be playing quarterback for the Dolphins.
It's gonna be
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, that guy.
Skylar Thompson, 7th round pick savior.
If ever there were a week where I wished the Dolphins were playing the Panthers because I like to see the world burn.
They were so close to get the Vikings.
Who's the third string quarterback for the Vikings? We just get a third string versus third string.
They don't have one. They only have 2.
Oh, they got somebody on the practice squad. They got 2.
They might. I don't know if they do because they let Kalaman go.
That doesn't mean they don't have anybody because they traded for someone, didn't they?
Oh, no. He's the backup.
Nick Mullins,
the guy from the Raiders.
Yeah,
Nick Mullins.
Mullins is backup. It's David Blau.
Is it really?
Oh my God.
Oh yes. David
that's
Loads.
right. Yeah. He signed the day after that he got released.
Yeah.
Oh, he was like, I gotta go to the Vikings, man. It can't be worse than Detroit.
It's David Blau.
That's all right. Let's get David Blau versus Skylar Thompson.
Rashad Penny broke his fibula. He's done for the year. So
that dude cannot catch a break, man.
He did catch a break.
He got multiple.
That was cold.
He caught multiple breaks.
Nailed it.
He took break a leg a little too far.
We're gonna get canceled tomorrow.
No, we're not. No one listens to the show enough for us to get canceled. You know this.
That's true. Kenneth Walker. And Kenneth Walker is gonna win you some leagues. That's what we got.
Apparently, because the Seattle offense is like, I took everything everyone said personally.
All right, let's talk some strategy here real quick. Middle of the season.
It is.
For redraft and dynasty. You should right now have a pretty good idea of what your team is and where it's at. So let's take this from 3 different perspectives. If you are a team right now that desperately needs wins, you're 1-4. What are some things that you're looking to do? And we'll do redraft and dynasty for all of these. What are you looking to make happen? What are you checking on? Trades.
That's the one thing. If you're holding on to players that are hurt that may come back, potentially guys that are, I got like Keenan Allen. If you're holding on to guys like Chris Godwin, potentially. I know he's back, but it's
Dak.
Andre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Hopkins. You're basically trying to use their name value and getting some immediate production now.
Or
if you have a high valued name like a Najee Harris, I'd say Delvin Cook, but he's coming off 3 touchdowns and looking to offload for something that maybe you can pair into a 2-for-1 and try to help. I don't like to recommend 2-for-1 trades, but it's one of those situations where you're just trying to find points.
I'd be trying to go the route of get rid of some of my, maybe get rid of one guy that is top tier talent and try to get me some depth. Try to get me 3 or 4 usable pieces back that, might not be consistent week to week ones, but might be 2s with 1 upside. Try to get me a couple of those pieces and make my roster deeper. And that's how I'm going to try to compete in redraft leagues like that. I want to try to, we're going to try to take my most valuable asset and turn it into something where maybe the sum of the parts is better than what the one piece is that I gave up.
So this leads perfectly to our boy Randy Miller's comment. He's 1-4, and he just traded Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Hopkins for the Cincinnati stack of Mixon, Burrow, and Chase.
There you go.
That's
not a bad start.
It's going for full upside. I hesitate having that much exposure to one team, but you gotta make moves. And if Cincinnati's offense decides to actually show up for once, and and they can maintain that for multiple weeks,
it's coming.
it might help you there, especially when they get Higgins back. I think that's the one that's actually their missing link right now. I think.
Yeah. And then in Dynasty, sorry, Ryan, anything to add on the redraft front before we flip to Dynasty for this?
No, because I can tell you exactly what I've been doing in Dynasty because you guys saw it today.
Yeah.
You know, I am 0-5.
Trading PJ Walker.
Well, no,
that's actually smart. That's actually really
that was a real smart move.
It is smart.
You spent some fab, picked up a waiver guy, and turned it into a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, so the 4th-round pick could be nothing. It could be something in the long run, but it at least gives me.
It could be a boat, Ryan. It might be a boat.
But then I also turned around and traded Tyler Higbee because he's got 1 more year left on his contract. And I'm like, and he's getting old, so it's like, get something for him while I can.
And he's being productive. And smart.
Yeah, and I'm going nowhere with my team because I can't even break like 80 points. So.
I'm going somewhere, and I'm not sure how.
Me too.
I just keep winning games.
Because it's that league, and there's no depth to anybody's roster. So
it's so deep, man.
I can't even start quarterbacks.
What the fuck
weeks.
did Nick do? Nick's like, let's take the Super Friends League and multiply it by 10.
I love that.
You have accidental wins.
I miss
it.
It
is a lot of fun,
man. The league was so much fun.
Yeah, in Dynasty, I'm gearing up to sell, and what that means is I'm identifying, like Ryan just said, my assets that are on the last year of their deal that are getting up there in age. I know that I'm ticketed unless it's because of super hard luck injuries, which there haven't been that many of those this year, at least not long term. I'm gearing up to find sell windows on some of these guys. I'm looking for. I got one league where I'm 0-5, thank God, because I thought I was gonna win this week. Where I just turned out some. It's IDP, so you can find some players. I just turned out some older guys for some younger guys for the waiver wire. I'm looking for a J.K. Dobbins sell window. I'm looking for a Tyler Lockett sell window. Looking to ship some of these guys out for draft capital or younger pieces, and that's what you should be looking at in Dynasty if you started out and you're in that deep of a hole. Now, the one caveat to all this is if it's injuries, especially in redraft, you got guys that are going to get healthy, like Keenan Allen, like Dak Prescott, then, okay, yeah, maybe don't go full tilt yet and wait a couple weeks. But Dynasty, if you're that bad, you should be going up to sell.
And also in Dynasty, too, like if you're winning, you should look for that piece that you need or, that you think will help you give you that next advantage for the next following week and try to trade some draft capital to try to get that player too. Like if you're, weak at a wide receiver, find that team who is already tanking and try to trade them first if you can for that wide receiver, knowing that it's going to be more of a later first by what you're projecting in your own mind, thinking like if I make the playoffs and get deep, this is a late first round. I don't really want it because this is who I think I could get over this player.
Let's go to middle of the road. Let's say that you're a team that's 3-2 or 2-3.
The first thing you're looking at is your points, like how many points you scored as a team. That's the first, because that's going to give you the best idea mindset of knowing of where your team will probably likely go. How many points have been scored against you? So really based on luck factor, how lucky have you gotten? Like in the same league we've been talking about, I've won 3 games in a row. And I have one of the lowest points scored against. It's like I'm middle of the road of my scoring.
That's going to come back down, and you got to do something to either up that scoring to, take advantage of those wins, or realize that this isn't real, and pivot more towards okay, we're going to ride this out for a couple more weeks, and then it'll course correct, and we're going to start to sell and redraft. If you're in that position, you should realize this isn't real and start to try to add some scoring.
Yeah, this part's real different because there's a lot of teams that are in this position right now. In Dynasty, I would recommend the wait and hold because most trade deadlines in Dynasty are a lot later into the season than compared to redraft. Some leagues don't have trade deadlines, so you're able to take advantage of waiting to see how your team's moving and going. In redraft, you kind of have to start making moves now because you're looking at a month away, maybe 5 weeks until we get to the deadline, and your team could look completely different then. And they're trying to win in redraft. You're not trying to tank. There's no reason to tank.
The other side of this too is don't just look at points for, but look at points against as well. And if you're tough luck in that regard or good luck in that regard, you're going to look at those points for, points against, and try to figure out what's real, what's not real, which way do you figure to trend, and then adjust from there. The other thing that I would say is if you're on Sleeper, which hopefully most leagues are, Pay attention to. This is why we're doing the reset the narrative segment too. But pay attention to what percentage of your total points you're scoring each week, and make sure you're not the problem. Make sure that your lineup setting is sound, that you're playing based off of actual matchups, not just name cachet. Go look at where guys' target volume's at, where they've been trending towards. Hit their name in the app, figure out where they're ranked at their position, and realize if maybe your impression of a player is wrong and you need to adjust that, or if you got a guy that you're consistently benching that's getting more target volume, or that it's consistently outscoring somebody you're starting because you're just looking at names, pay attention to that and look at your management tactics as well.
Another thing to look at too is like taxi squads. Like, we're in a league together where you can have a good player, your rookies on the taxi squad. Like I have George Pickens on there right now.
Yeah.
But I'm still keeping him on there just so that way I can keep my total points down with the way the league goes. So that way,
because you're trying to, because you're playing tank and you're perfectly within the rules to keep him there.
Yeah.
But you're playing for the draft pick, so you don't want to activate him, put him up against your roster head count or anything like that. You're going to, keep him there and use a strategic activation later on when it makes sense, either in between seasons or, if it's a situation where you keep him there for the first 2 years, which some of them are, then you play it that way. If you're in a multi-year rebuild, there's no reason to go rush and activate him off the taxi squad.
Nope.
All right, we're gonna go back to Brady's got another question here.
Sure.
He's gonna I guess he's gonna piggyback off of his previous comment here. He's asking if you should trade Jamar Chase and Gerald Everett. So Chase and Everett for Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, and Darren Waller. He says he has Knox waiting in the wings until Waller's healthy.
Yeah, but Knox isn't healthy either, and
I would not
been great. I would not make that move.
No.
I get
I'd want
where
more
you're.
for Chase.
I like the idea.
I get where you're trying to go. In this case, you're giving up the best player in the trade in Jamar Chase, especially with the most upside.
Well, and Gerald Everett might be the second best player in that deal right now, given positions and consistency. Deontay Johnson has not been bad, but the Steelers' offense has been kind of a dumpster fire, and I'm pretty sure Pickens outscored him last week.
Yeah, he's kind of playing like second fiddle to Pickens right now.
Well, Pittsburgh's offense is it's in this weird spot because bad defense, poor offensive line, running game can't get going. You're Pickens Pickett threw the ball 52 times.
Yeah,
and Pickens ran 2 less routes than your boys Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. That's
what I was looking at, and Pickens is.
There's some upside to this team if they're going to throw this much. It's not going to be pretty, but I don't want to go too far off a tangent here. But I would personally, and it sounds like my co-hosts would not make this trade.
No,
I would keep Chase and keep Everett and yeah. All right.
Keep Chase, keep Everett. That doesn't mean that I want to, before we move on from that, I want to say your head's in the right place. You got the Bengals stack, and now, okay, let's flip Chase or maybe even at some point mix in and try to turn that into more pieces. I think that's the right idea. That's just not the right trade for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, you still want upside in redraft. You still, like I said, I don't like having exposure to one team, but that much exposure to one offense, especially an offense that's struggling. But I would be looking to try to get something a little more than those 3 guys for just Chase.
Yep. Now let's look at anything else on being a middle of the road team in either set. Before we look at, okay, you're a team that's running out front. You're 5-0, 4-1, something like that. First off, celebrate. Second off, still look at your points for. Make sure that it's real. Make sure that you're good. You should still be trying to stash and work your depth and improve week to week. But this is where it comes down to don't do things just for the sake of doing things. And I think I talked about this on Sunday. I had a trade offer that was, let me go pull it up again real quick. Dan, you remember this one? It was pretty well lateral.
Oh yeah. It's coming back to me.
And pull it up.
Be and be a little weary. We're pretty much at the middle part.
Yeah.
The beginning of the middle part of the season. You got to be careful when trying to cash in depth. Bye weeks coming. You got to at least put yourself in the position to at least still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Don't go too crazy when trying to cash in your depth.
And that's a good point because bye weeks do start this week. So if you're holding on for guys like Allen Robinson to hit and they're taking up roster spots, or Russell Wilson to put it together, something like that, you may be in a situation where you're dropping them. I'm still a little hesitant on Wilson, but you're maybe in a situation where you're dropping them and churning to get something else in there for a bye week or depth to gear up for a bye week. Maybe even look the next 2-3 weeks you've got on bye and be prepared to take care of that. The trade, by the way, was I would be getting Higbee, McCaffrey, and Smith. I'd be sending out Fournette, Godwin, and Mark Andrews. One of those things that on paper is not a bad deal. It's a lot of lateral movement. I don't think the value was way off, but 4-1 now. It's a trade just to make a trade, and there's no reason to do that if you're sitting that pretty. Don't make moves just to make moves is what you got's working.
Yeah, and I would want to keep. I would actually want to keep Fournette and Godwin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's lateral for sure, but it's one of those situations where it's like, I can get a little bit better while not pretty much losing anything, outside of maybe the upside of McCaffrey. But we know what a starting Bucks running back looks like with Tom Brady, and it can be pretty good.
We also kind of want to build your depth up if you can. Like if you have two good
right
wide
now,
receivers,
definitely right now you do.
Yeah, if you have two good wide receivers, you can trade for a better wide receiver overall. That's the kind of deal you want to do on your bench. Try to build that additional depth up, especially with bye weeks here now.
This is a great time to start looking at. Just get yourself, familiar with matchups. If you are pretty hardcore, you're probably already doing this, but a really good way to stay ahead of your competition is to start looking ahead at weeks and start trying to guess or predict or hedge your bets on players with good matchups coming up. That's another great way for these middle of the road to bad teams to try to get quick, points, for on. Maybe take a player that's got a bad playoff matchups because for some fucking reason we really care about it right now. And maybe he has, a good 2, 3, 4 week stretch right now that maybe you can get for cheap. Buying low on players, it's a great way to get your rosters back and going. And it's not even a bad idea for teams that are, that are fairly competitive right now. If you can kind of help churn your depth and give yourself a good advantage throughout the rest of the year.
Indeed. All right. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, and I want to reset some narratives, look at some performances, look at some guys here that are doing work a little bit. So we're going to start with the quarterback position right now. Just going to look through a couple of different stats and kind of hit top 10s here. So we're going to start with pass attempts because volume matters, right? Your leaders right now are Tom Brady, Kyler Murray. Standout, Carson Wentz right now at 4. This is over the last 3 weeks. He's had one dud this season. He's a QB 11 currently.
He's a QB 11 with only one dud?
Yeah.
Man, Jesus, at Washington, I'd be looking to trade him, I guess, if I could. But that just says there's very little upside to him because
he has thrown through 5 weeks. He has thrown under 40 times one time. He has been under 3. He got 3 300-yard games and 3 multi-touchdown games passing. So no rushing touchdowns. He's been over 27 fantasy points in 3 of those games. The 2 he wasn't was Philly and Dallas.
I forgot we're actually in a pretty good quarterback renaissance right now.
Right.
I think looking at the disparity in like the top 6 quarterbacks have outscored a shit ton of points compared to what we've seen from last year's. We do have another question. I guess we're gonna kind of go back in time 30 seconds and keep talking about trying to fix teams. Hey, I'm not gonna try to pronounce your name, man. Sorry. Hey, I'm 0-5 with Herbie, Cook. Herbie, I'm assuming is Herbert. Cook, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, and recently traded for Jalen Waddle in his flex spot.
How the shit are you 0-5?
Who should I trade for and for who? I also have Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs. Dude,
don't
hold.
Like, just you're deep. You've got the pieces. Just I don't know how you're 0-5. I don't know if you've got like
it's gotta be schedule luck.
If it's got tough luck and there's just like we were just talking about looking at points. Look at your points against versus points for, right? You don't with those pieces, you don't need to go make moves and try to get more pieces. There's either, you're just running into bad luck, which you hope self-corrects throughout the course of the season, or you are, you're so deep that, you could be hitting players on the wrong weeks in lineups and, maybe need to, look at matchups a little closer, but there's no reason when you're that deep that you should be going out trying to, I don't think.
I can see him being below 500. Herbert's been banged up since week 2.
Hasn't had Keenan Allen who's coming back. That'll help.
Delvin Cook finally had his blow-up game. He had 3.
Sorry.
I thought he had 3.
2.
He finally had a double touchdown game, but he's still under 100 yards. I think Cook's been kind of disappointing. Aaron Jones is in a split backfield and a bad offense. I can see how. St. Brown, awesome start. He's hurt, and then he was on a pitch count. Bengals offense sucks, which Jamar Chase is in this kind of weird spot. Mark Andrews has obviously been great. Waddle's been hurt since his blow-ups. And now obviously he gets to finally use Kenneth Walker. He's probably not playing Josh Jacobs because he has Delvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and Hawkinson's got one good game this year. I can see in a really, really unfortunate events why your team would be in this spot.
So what would you do?
You can try to look for a little more.
Is it redraft?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
I'd assume. I mean,
I
guess
try pairing Aaron Jones and I'm gonna say Brown for someone.
That's probably the most expendable asset I would think would be Aaron Jones for,
You can try to cash in on Delvin Cook's name. Maybe try to get a Damien Pierce plus. You can do the same thing with Aaron Jones. I would not trade Mark Andrews. I would definitely not trade Jamar Chase. I think your wide receivers are fine. If this is a single QB league, you're gonna have to overpay for a quarterback, but maybe try to go after a team that's got Jalen Hurts. Maybe has a strong backup behind him. You're not getting Josh Allen.
Waivers if it's not super deep. If you don't like the Herbert matchup, there's enough Geno Smiths, Carson Wentz's, and Jared Goff's in the world that you pick them in the right matchup, they're gonna give you what you need.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry you're 0-5.
I don't know how. That's bad luck, man.
It's got to be, if you don't mind posting, if you're still listening, if you don't mind posting your points for and points against, maybe we can kind of see. There's got to be some There's just got to be some bad luck there. You still have enough time to turn it around, right? I've started out 0-5. I made the playoffs. You're probably not gonna get the number 1 seed, but there's still enough. There's still enough of the season left where you can turn that around. But you may have to make some moves because you're gonna have to string together wins. What he's asking, how do we check? So he's using ESPN. So I think go to your league site. I think
it's in the league. Here, I'll check for you real quick. I don't remember offhand, but thankfully I still have.
Unfortunately, regardless of how strong your team may look, if you're 0-5, you're still gonna have to figure out ways to manufacture some points.
Yeah, and
and that may not be the problem. It just may be this may not be your year, and
that happens.
And that's the unfortunate part of redraft where I would be fucking ecstatic if I left my draft with that team. Yeah, I'd be talking shit. I'd be fucking
Victory
throwing my
lap in
dick
it.
on the table, throwing, victory lap. I got Delvin Cook, got Aaron Jones. I'm
Suck it.
stoked. I got Amon Ra probably late. I got Jamar Chase probably at a decent cost. Mark
Do you want me to
Andrews.
tell the guy where he finds that information or no?
No, sorry. Go ahead.
If you in
Dick.
ESPN go to when you pull up your team in your roster, just go to the league tab and then go down to your standings and scroll right. It'll say PF and PA. PF is your points for, PA is your points against. Points against is significantly higher than your points for and significantly higher than the rest of the leagues. Bad luck.
Yeah. That's my guess. It's just the unfortunate. Trying to make him feel better by saying that it's not him. I just think it's I think it's just bad strain of luck. All right.
Back to where we were.
Where were we?
We're starting to look at quarterback stats as we reset.
That's right.
So
That's
Carson
right.
Wentz is fourth in pass attempts. Other than that, nobody else is really going to surprise you in the top there. Trevor Lawrence at 11, and I'm bringing that up because I was cheating ahead a little bit and want to point something out with Lawrence. Passing yards, it's Josh Allen and Tom Brady at the top of that. Geno Smith is third. Jared Goff is fourth. Jared Goff, bad week last week, missing most of his receivers. Once they get healthy again, Lions had been putting up points. Kirk Cousins is sixth. Matt Ryan seventh. A little ugly for Ryan with the offensive line. Pass touchdowns again. Geno Smith third. Jared Goff eighth. Trevor Lawrence ninth. So again, there's two top 10 callouts for Trevor Lawrence right there. So just some things to think about. And I mean, when you look at guys that are down here, a bit further close to the bottom, you don't really get anybody that would surprise you, actually. It's pretty chalk. Mahomes and Jackson and Herbert and Burrow are all about where you'd expect them to. Rodgers is hanging top 6 in most of this stuff. There's not really a whole lot that's surprising. The only other thing I want to point out is rush. When we talk about Konami code quarterbacks, Daniel Jones only over the last 3 weeks has 40 or less rush yards than Lamar Jackson. If you're looking for floor in a quarterback that you can go grab, Daniel Jones has been giving you that. Carson Wentz also up over the Josh Allen. I don't know where I just saw Wentz's name, but it wasn't right. But Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, Justin Fields, all more rush yards than Jalen Hurts over the last 3 weeks. Hurts has 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones has 2. If you're looking for rush floor, Daniel Jones has pretty much been right in the same neighborhood as Jalen Hurts as far as rushing floor goes. Hurts is making up the difference in his passing game. Just another thing to think about as you evaluate quarterbacks and streamers, though. Daniel Jones is not playing bad right now.
He's just not a sexy name, but the Giants' offense isn't. This is why rushing quarterbacks are so valuable in fantasy. The Giants' offense really hasn't been great, but he's not turning the ball over, and he's making up his production on the ground, which is why we always preach for these canonical quarterbacks. These top half of the league in rushing. For their volume, they'll make up maybe the passing stats that
aren't there
that are lacking. Yeah,
and he hasn't thrown a passing touchdown since week 2, so that is lacking.
Yes.
But,
oh my God. I mean, he's got no
Saquon
fucking
Barkley.
receivers. He's got David Sills. It's number 1 receiver, and Richie James. Like, oh my God.
It's
okay,
ugly.
so this guy has scored 605 points, and he's 675 against them.
That's a little bit of a discrepancy. That's not
knowing
low.
if I don't want to.
This sounds like bad luck.
It's he asked if he should trade Burrow. He said, "Would you do Burrow for Godwin?"
I mean,
he didn't list either player on his team. So if you're getting Godwin, I would trade Burrow for Godwin.
Yes.
If that's what you're asking me, I would, and I think these guys would agree. I would trade Burrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in single quarterback.
Absolutely.
You don't be too team dependent either. On that'd be 4 players on one team. That's a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Keeping her moving here. Looking at rush yards, Josh Jacobs second in rush yards over the last 3 weeks.
I don't know what to make of this Raiders team. Maybe it's Josh McDaniels. I have no fucking clue. But Josh Jacobs looks like a different running back.
He's been over 140 yards the last 2 weeks. And Denver is not a slouch run defense, but he went for 144 and 2. So Josh Jacobs is turning it on. Damien Pierce is sitting below that. All three of those guys ahead of Derrick Henry, by the way. But Damien Pierce over the last couple weeks, or last 3 weeks, bolstered by 80, 131, and 99. So he's been one of the best pure runners out there. And Ramondre Stevenson sitting right behind Derrick Henry at 300 yards. Jeff Wilson 8th in that as well. So just running back's been weird, but as far as pure rushing goes, those are some guys that when we talk about resetting narratives, you're looking at Josh Jacobs and you're like, okay, week to week. I don't need to start him week to week. The last 3 weeks, he's second in the league in rushing.
You're starting Josh Jacobs
every week. Damien Pierce is third in the league in rushing. You're starting him when you got him. Ramondre Stevenson was 5th and just lost Damian Harris.
Running backs have been bad this year. From the top,
very bad.
It's been bad, whether it be injuries or just lack of being able to produce. You gotta, you have to stop looking at the name and start and just and tell yourself, okay, Damien Pierce is out producing Zeke Elliott. It's time to fucking play Damien Pierce. Get over the fact that you're benching Zeke. Yes, he's getting volume. Same thing for Najee Harris. I'm seeing tweets on here that's saying that people are playing Eno Benjamin over Najee Harris this week.
Do you blame him?
No.
Najee Harris hasn't been doing anything,
That's the thing, though, is just because you drafted these guys with your first round pick doesn't mean that you are tethered to them. You're starting roster every fucking week. Trade them.
You're entering week 6.
Yeah.
You're done with that. You've waited for 5 weeks. It's time to start pivoting.
They should have pivoted after week 3.
Yep.
Shit happens.
Week 2 or 3. You just can't ignore points.
Speaking of interesting things, target volume. Leonard Fournette just 1 target behind Christian McCaffrey over the last 3 weeks.
It truly helps to have Tom Brady throwing on the football. My God.
Yeah.
And this is why if
Rashad
White's on your waiver, I'll pick him up and stash him.
And McCaffrey being pedestrian in the Panthers offense.
God, somehow Baker Mayfield has tamed Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
thank you, Baker. Thank you.
Devin Singletary 6th, by the way. Josh Jacobs 7th.
Thank you, McDaniel. I can't believe I'm saying it. Thank you, Josh McDaniels, for actually finally utilizing Josh Jacobs in the way that we all wanted him to be used.
The other side of this,
God.
Alvin Kamara, where he makes his bread and butter, 11th, but he's been hurt, so he's only played 2 games in that time frame.
I was gonna say he looked very good last week too.
So he would be top 10, but
he's fine.
Come back.
He's fine.
Any who's it's.
Delvin Cook B1. What's Delvin Cook at, Hopper?
4 targets.
Yeah, where is he? Where does he fall? Because I think that's when we're outside of this past week. That may be one where people are. Zeke's been bad. He hasn't had a good game this year. I don't believe. Maybe it's
Pollard's been over him every game.
But Dallas is obsessed to play Zeke. Because
they're paying him too much.
Yeah,
I see.
And that is why the Panthers will always keep McCaffrey, because no one's going to fucking take a bloated running back contract right now.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Besides the rumor of the Bills, I started laughing when I read
they're
that.
Not trading.
Come on.
There's no team that's going to give them anything that's worth McCaffrey. And
no, that's too much money.
And that contract, they would have to take on the bulk of that contract. It's such a bad contract.
Dalvin Cook was not showing up because over the last 3 weeks he has had 4 targets.
And he's not getting a lot of rushing production.
No,
the Vikings are just watching their
94,
games.
76, 96, 3 touchdowns over that time frame. So he's right around 270-ish yards, which would put him in company with such esteemed guys as he's right there with Jamal Williams, right behind Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, that's RB2 range. And if you got touchdowns, which is what you got last week, you're going to get your RB1 week. But otherwise, he's been pretty meh.
It's RB 10 points per game over that time frame.
You're not mad, but you're probably not happy that he's been a little more boom bust instead of a little bit more, floor to him.
Right. So, looking at wide receivers again, just kind of looking at the top, which was probably like top 20. Target volume wise, you are led by Marquis Brown in targets. DK Metcalf is up 5th, Mike Williams 6th, Josh Reynolds 11th, ahead of Cortland Sutton.
With the banged up St. Brown, right? Without DJ Chark, Swift.
10, 8, and 10 the last 3 weeks. 28.
Yeah. It's got the chemistry built in with Goff back to the days with the Rams. So there's something like
so as long as people are missing.
Yeah, as long as there's starters out, I think Reynolds is one of those sneaky
safety
plays.
It's like a safety blanket.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of this is, somebody that's maybe fallen off a little bit. Michael Pittman has had, is over the last 3. I guess he did miss 1 week, so that's why. Never mind. He was hurt. Don't count.
Just kidding.
Kind of. So, also target volume wise, though, I don't see Alec Pierce on the. Yeah, he is. He's right with Drake London and MVS. Alec Pierce is, and that's a couple of things I wanted to toss out there. They've both seen 20 targets over the last 3 weeks, so they're averaging pretty decently. Valdez-Scantling always with a chance to pop off. Alec Pierce been pretty decent as well. So, look, Juju Smith-Schuster shit the bed with the Chiefs over the last 2 weeks. It's not been great. Valdez-Scantling's getting the target volume, and he's got the big playability.
Yep.
From a receiving perspective, Marquis Brown is also at the top of the list in receptions. Devonta Smith is 4th in receptions. So
he had a good week. He's had like 2 or 3 good weeks in a row.
Yeah,
in terms of target wise.
Week 4 was a little dicey, but 3 of his last 4 weeks have been very, very good for Devonta Smith against Minnesota, Washington, and Arizona.
You can't ignore the goose egg in week 1. So there is some bottoming out to him at times, but it's been good. It's been good.
He's been pretty decent. Tyler Lockett, Josh Reynolds both up there. Chris Olave is up there. That shouldn't surprise anybody. George Pickens, another guy that is starting to trend up. 224 yards. Hasn't got the touchdown yet. 23 targets, so he's up there, ahead of the aforementioned MVS and Pierce, who are climbing themselves into wide receiver 2 range. George Pickens is coming on and making a name for himself, and the touchdowns will come, given the type of player that he is.
Well, if Pittsburgh is going to keep throwing the ball as much as they do, I'm very saying 2018 Pittsburgh, you're going to get flex plus weeks for, I think, all 3 of their guys, because there's going to be volume there for all 3 of them.
I agree. All right, tight end's the last thing I want to look at, because this is what kind of led to saying, hey, let's look at some guys, reset some narratives here. Tyler Higbee, Zach Ertz, both ahead of Travis Kelce in target volume over the last 3 weeks. Well, Ertz is tied with them. David Njoku is right behind that.
Oh, he's so good right now. I'm so glad. We're just a couple years too late on him. Or not late, but early. Excuse me. We're a little early on Njoku, but it's here.
Gerald Everett and Pat Freiermuth, both ahead of George Kittle, who's only got 99 yards, no touchdowns this season. Kittle is not a must start anymore.
No,
he's just a name.
Just a guy. And then you get into Irv Smith, Cameron Brate there. Brate
Titans.
Last week. This is where it starts to get ugly.
It feels so much worse than years past.
It does.
It's like if you don't have Kelce or managers, you're basically streaming.
Yeah, and those guys where we talked about late round tight ends that seem to be coming up and hitting are Zach Ertz and David Njoku right now.
Njoku, man.
I was high as hell in Njoku.
Everywhere. I have him oh, man. And I hate to say it because I hate to speak positivity to it, but he's got Watson coming back.
Yeah.
It hurts. Sorry, guys. We got to say it for the folks out there.
You heard that? Hope that doesn't hurt him. He's leading in receiving yards. Again, same names pop up in that top 10. Zach Ertz, Kelsey, Higbee, Goddard, Andrews, Fryermuth. Tyler Conklin's up there in most of that. So just some things to think about. George Kittle down in 13th. Cole Kmet, 8th. Just some things to think about. Travis Kelce, obviously, huge week last week, so he's leading and doubled everybody else up on the touchdown front. Mo Alley Cox, though, had a 2-touchdown game.
He did.
Something to watch.
Yeah.
They did Jelani Woods.
Say Matt Ryan really loves his.
They're using the tight end.
They're tight ends, apparently.
Right.
So, but not the same ones every week because they keep changing. Come on, Ryan, at least give us something.
We'll tell you how to apply this week, but just some things to think about as guys trend up, trend down as we get through this. You know, guys like Devin Singletary, your opinion's changed as it's gone on. You know, versus Najee Harris, who's not a must-start right now. George Kittle, not a must-start right now.
Zeke Elliott,
not a must-start right now.
Oh, my God.
There are plenty of these guys that are not, must-starts. I say I'm starting Carson Wentz over Russell Wilson, that feels terrible. But Carson Wentz has been the better quarterback.
You could.
It's pretty gross, but yeah,
single QB league, you can drop Russell Wilson, guys. It's okay.
Yep.
I know you don't want to. I know I want to wheel that offense into what we all thought it was going to be, but it just may not happen this year.
All right. Yeah. Keeping with the way we've done this for a while, we're an hour in. We're going to call game previews.
All right. Let's do it. Game of the week, guys. Washington at Chicago. Hey, the Bears are 1-point favorites at home. 37.5. I repeat, the game total is 37.5. Do not bet this game. Just don't.
Avoid it.
It would be under.
Avoid it. Don't. No. I want to say yes because.
Yeah, but 37 points is so low. You don't even go for the under on that.
I'm a little more confident in, in Mr. Fields after his game against Minnesota, where I can actually see Chicago putting up enough points to push this game over. But I'm still not betting it because it's still this game. So avoid it. Hopper, dive in fantasy.
Avoid it. It's a Thursday night game. They've been terrible. If you can't really trust. Yeah, snap share was split between Gibson, McKissick, and Brian Robinson. The only thing you trust in this game, or that you can even remotely trust in this game, is David Montgomery, and if you're in desperate need, Khalil Herbert on the Bears side, because you know how that split's going to look. Receivers have not been trustworthy. Justin Fields maybe starting to come into his own with some of that rushing floor, but it's not a game where you want to stream it. And on the quarterback side, you don't have to score a lot of points to beat the Bears. You don't have to throw a lot, which kind of throws some cold water on Carson Wentz for this week. And, what they may do. This is going to be black and blue, low scoring. It's not a game you want to target for fantasy.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Oh, no, you're good. I would say DFS-wise, you'd definitely go Montgomery. I would even be curious to sprinkle in a little bit of Brian Robinson just to see what happens. He comes in at 4,900 just because Chicago ranks 25th against the rush.
You might even sprinkle some Damien Brown in that
36%. You could because the
but Damien Brown was 2 catches. Damien Brown was 2 catches, 2 touchdowns.
You're playing a showdown slate. You're playing one game in a bad match.
But that's what Jahan Dotson was doing too. And so that is, to me, if you got 2 guys that have done that, that's a role on that team. And you got Damien Brown plugging into the Watson role. The Robinson thing, I expect that to trend up, but 33% snap share and just 9 carries is not where you want to be. What's J.D. McKissick at?
I can't see McKissick getting there's no way a game script's going to push him to be more up tempo.
7.947 the last 4 weeks.
In touches or
target volume? Target volume.
It's also the Bears.
I know.
It's also pushing.
I get it, but if you're looking for a back and you're trying to find something somewhere, I think McKissick's the back I would lean out just because of the target volume. I don't know. Maybe you do get a Brian Robinson breakout. Call it. Will it into existence.
Yeah, I want.
I'm not speaking ill will. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. Now it is.
Are you speaking, Dan?
I didn't specify who. This game, like I jokingly said, this game's gonna go for 70 plus total points
Not
because we don't
a chance.
Because we know nothing.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna drink bourbon and watch this one burn.
I'm gonna rate them out. I need to throw an audible and call for a beer review because I'm pretty much empty.
Beer review.
Thanks, Boo.
Go ahead, Dan.
All right, again, I'm drinking Revolution Brewing's Oktoberfest. They call this a German style lager. It's going to drink on the Marzen side just based off of the sweet malt backbone to it. It's got a good medium body to it. Because I'm drinking it from the can, I didn't pour it in the glass. I can't give you the actual color notes from it, but it is a very good Oktoberfest.
I'm going to go with it somewhere in the range of copper.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it with that nice, cool amber copper color. With it not being a fest beer, you're going to get a little more, you're going to get a little more boldness to it. So if you see this in stores, which if you live in our neck of the woods, right? I don't know if you guys get Revolution out there in Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, we get some up here.
That makes sense.
I've had a couple of them.
If you find this out there in the wild and you're a big fan of Oktoberfest beers, I would recommend picking this up.
All right, I had a Belgian IPA, Farmhouse IPA, from Crane Brewing Company, and it's definitely a baseline of a farmhouse and a good farmhouse. It's got a little bit of a tart sourness to it that doesn't overwhelm you. It's got just a touch of that funk that's not overpowering, but take another sip there. There is a slight malt backbone to it, maybe just a little bit of like a breadiness with a hint of caramel. Like, maybe it's Pilsner and light caramel malt in this thing. Maybe a little bit of wheat just to soften it.
But so weird.
What really jumps out on this one, is the hop character. But it's interesting because it provides a really nice contrast to that light, kind of tart sour note to it. It doesn't conflict. It's a nice balance between the bitterness of the hops and some of that tart funk of the farmhouse that's underneath of it. But also I think the hops in some ways accentuate that funk and make it a little bit more farmhousey. But you also do get some of the grapefruit and citrus notes that come out in front of it. And it's layers of flavor that you don't normally see together, but it works out well.
It's just
interesting beer.
It's just, oh my God.
It sounds interesting.
I absolutely love brew. I love when breweries or when home brewers go completely out of left field.
Home brewers gone wild.
Home brewers gone wild. Next on VHS. Next on the QVC network, home brewers gone wild, where you see them throw in all sorts of hops and malt and yeast into a batch and say, fuck it, let's see what happens.
That's what a farmhouse is, basically. It's whatever's
you
lying
just leave
around.
it open and just let the culture take over. And sometimes it's fucking terrible because you can't predict the culture. And sometimes you get just a perfect mix. I'm going to go grab another beer while you talk about yours, Ryan, even though I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on yours.
You heard? Oh, okay. So I had Evil Geniuses. There's no crying in baseball. Hazy Mango IPA. I know, I'm getting ahead of myself on this one. It's a hazy IPA with a natural mango flavor and a wicked curveball. Hazy and refreshing. This beer knocks it out of the park with a hefty dose of dry hops and natural mango flavor. You should say it's in a league of its own.
God,
definitely like it.
Love it.
It's very, very smooth.
I gotta grab a beer real quick.
Okay.
You want to just take over for the next game, Hopper, real quick? And
I'll start with fantasy, then you can jump back in and do betting. How about that? Because I don't have the lines pulled up.
Love it.
Actually, what is the next game on your list, though? Because mine doesn't mirror yours.
Bucks Steelers would be the next on my list.
All right, Bucks Steelers kicking off the noon games. So Buccaneers secondary has been pretty decent, but as we talked about earlier in the show, Steelers are passing a ton. George Pickens has strung together some nice games, and Deontay Johnson continues to have pretty good floor. I think you're okay with both of them. Farmhouse continues to be, right on the borderline of a startable tight end. Actually, haven't looked at his numbers other than looking at the roll up from earlier this week. So a little bit of a dud last week under Pickett's first start. So you may be able to find better options. Just one touchdown. It's a tight end game, but more comfortable in the wide receiver 2 flex range with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. On the Buccaneers side of this, Chris Godwin came back and had a solid game, showcasing some wide receiver 2 floor with touchdown upside. The Steelers have not been good as far as the defense, so I think you can lock and load your Bucs with Godwin, with Evans, with Leonard Fournette in this one. And, of course, Tom Brady, who's played a lot better since he got a divorce attorney.
All it took was getting rid of Giselle, and now he's unlocked.
No real deep cuts other than, I do like what Pickens has been doing. I do think they're going to have to throw a lot, so I do think that, you could get another solid wide receiver 2 type game out of him with, if catches a touchdown, could push it to wide receiver 1.
I'll throw out a note before we jump into betting lines. I would try to proactive pick up Jalen Warren. If Najee is to miss some time, which I think he needs to be benched just because I think he's too banged up. Very good stash.
Or they need to cut him out of, or they need to try to figure out something different in the running game because they haven't been able to establish it. So
yeah. All right. We'll jump into the betting lines and we'll go into DFS. Bucks are favored 8.5 points on the road. 43.5 is the game total. So no real confidence in Pittsburgh scoring offense. Spread wise, this is just too many points. The Bucks have finally gotten it going, but let's see if it's more consistent. I would pass on this game. If you must bet, I would take I would take Bucks on the road with a small unit. I wouldn't go crazy on it.
Sure. Half a unit.
Sure.
Half a unit. There you go.
Half a unit.
Half a unit. Not a full G unit, just a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mini men.
All right. And then you interrupted me again.
God, I'm a dick.
I know. And then on the DFS side, I'm definitely going Tom Brady again this week. I have him as a bargain pick still because, when I do bargain picks on fffaceoff.com, I always make it at 6,000 as my cap. But Tom Brady only went to 6,300, and he was robbed of 2 touchdowns from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Chris Evans just robbing
Chris
people
Evans,
of touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's not getting enough work.
Mike Godwin.
Not getting enough work.
Mike Godwin.
Mike Godwin.
It's Terry Godwin.
Terry Godwin.
There's a name for you.
There's a
having 2 games of back-to-back 22 points over that. He's due for a nice breakout of 3 to 4 times that I feel like. Najee Harris, we already said not to play. The only running back I'd be willing to play in this game would be Leonard Fournette, 7,400, just because of that defense for Pittsburgh is nothing. It's Swiss cheese. You can go ahead and run on it all you want. Chris Godwin, though, he's still a solid play at 6,100. Definitely would go for him. And also, I'm going to go down even lower and go with George Pickens, just like what Hopper was saying. That chemistry that him and Kenny Pickett have right now is one you would definitely want to pounce on. He's had 8 targets in back-to-back games, and he's actually turned them into good catches, wide receiver 2 type numbers. And that's it for this one.
The touchdowns are coming for Pickens.
Yeah. They'll have to get creative to get him involved on, maybe try to get him away from Jamel Dean a little bit. He's not allowing shit to anybody. So just throwing that out there.
I do like this. I do like a Bucks game stack in this game. Little Brady, Fournette, either Godwin or Evans.
Yeah. This is going to be one of the better games this week, I think, just given
fun.
that Pittsburgh's going to have to.
I know it'll be better.
I don't think it's going to be better from an NFL standpoint. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, given that Pittsburgh's going to have to pass and their defense isn't great. So,
all right. Jacksonville at the Colts. Colts are 1.5-point favorites at home. 42.5 is the game total. I like the over in this. I think Jacksonville's offense is looking to bounce back, and why not do it against a divisional opponent that's also struggling? Um, game spread wise, I would lean the Colts at home, even with 1.5 points. This was in Jacksonville. Jacksonville will be favored by nearly 5 points. So I kind of like the Colts at home, and I'll take the over here.
Okay, I'm looking at Ryan. Do you want to go ahead with DFS? I'm looking at something here real quick.
Yeah, like for DFS, I'm going in with Travis Etienne. I've been on him and off him this season, but the more I'm starting to get more info I get on him, the more the trend of him taking over between James Robinson is more of now a 50-50, where before it was James Robinson running that backfield. And the last 2 games, Etienne's kind of boosted up, even in that bad game against the Eagles where it was just total rain out. Etienne still had the same amount of carries, but last week Etienne was able to go out with 10 rushes for 71 yards, and then 3 receptions off 5 targets for another 43 to give him 14.4. So he has back-to-back double-digit games over 11 PPR, because in DraftKings it's PPR, so it's over 11.4 PPR points. And then Michael Pittman Jr. seems borderline because he's so, like, I don't feel comfortable with him at 6,900. But if you think he's going to bounce back, Jacksonville's defense is really good against wide receivers, even though a lot of us wouldn't think that going into the season. So I'm not touching really any wide receiver on Indianapolis. And that's pretty much it for that one. Everything else feels kind of like a wash game to me.
What's Christian Kirk at, Ryan? What's Kirk at after his back-to-back kind of dud weeks?
5,800. But Indianapolis is secondary is another tough one to throw against.
That's fair.
That's why I'm so iffy. I just don't feel like playing any of them.
I've seen some stuff out there about the type of coverage that they run. Kurt is generally successful. I think they run more zone than man.
Should be accessible.
Yeah, I think I've been seeing some people saying to die. I'm not throwing shade. I'm not trying to throw it. I just wanted to know where Kurt was, because I wouldn't mind throwing a little Lawrence Kirk stat to see if the bounce back can come back with them being, relatively cheap than usual.
This is already their second game of the year too against each other, Jacksonville and
is it really?
And Indy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wasn't necessarily expecting that. Christian Kirk did
this early. All right.
Yeah. So Christian Kirk did have a good game in week 2. Yeah, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns back in week 2 against his offense. So against his defense. The other thing that I was looking at though was Matt Ryan. And one thing I noticed watching him against Denver is that he was really hurt by that offensive line play. And he threw 3 picks and had a terrible, terrible game against Jacksonville in week 2. So I kind of got to echo that sentiment. I like Alec Pierce as a stash, but Jacksonville is blitzing right around the same and rushing the quarterback and causing hurried throws and everything right around the same level that Denver is. Not the same sack production or anything like that, but they are getting pressure at about the same clip. So just something to keep an eye on there. Matt Ryan coming off of another dud type of a performance. So, maybe shy away from Pierce and Pittman this week if you can. It seems like a good matchup on paper, but that could very well be a trap. Jacksonville fared much better against the Colts back in week 2, with Christian Kirk snagging 2 touchdowns. James Robinson went for 60-plus yards and a touchdown, even though he's been a little bit down the last couple weeks. I'm okay with Kirk, Robinson. Etienne, like Ryan mentioned, has been picking it up from the receiving game as well. So a little heavier on the Jacksonville side. Even Trevor Lawrence, if you need a stream this week with teams on bye, which is probably actually something we
to start a bipocalypse. So I'm assuming there's some not only good teams, but maybe a fair amount of teams.
So the Lions, Texans, Raiders, and Titans are all on bye. So that means you don't have Derrick Henry, you don't have Josh Jacobs. You're looking for running back starts. You have no Damien Pierce, and then obviously no Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift. So you're looking for running back starts this week, which is where Etienne and James Robinson really, really come into play in this one. You're also going to have with that no Devonte Adams, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you're losing two of your better streaming quarterbacks in Derek Carr and Jared Goff.
And JT is still not practicing from what I saw today.
Yes.
So that's something to note, because if we believe that Jacksonville's offenses take a step back, that may put them in a negative game script, which means maybe Nyheim Hines actually finds some. Is he supposed? He went into concussion protocol
too. Yeah, I haven't heard anything on him.
No, I just remembered that.
Tune in on
Deion Jackson.
Deion Jackson and Philip Lindsay split work. Deion Jackson looked like the better of the two. Tune in on Sunday. Is what I'll say about, your health stuff, especially with concussion protocol and, ankle injuries and stuff. Just tune in Sunday for that. But yeah, if you're looking for running backs because you're missing, 4 guys this week that would be immediate starts, ETN and Robinson are two that I would look towards.
All right. Bengals at the Saints. Bengals are 1.5 point favorites on the road. 43.5 is the game total. I don't think we've heard word on the Winston situation just yet. And to that same note, same thing about Higgins, but it looks like Higgins is charting towards his availability being back, which means I like the Bengals on the road with their full complement of players back, or at least the hopes of it is. I think this line is suggesting that Higgins may not play because 1.5 feels a little light against a hapless Saints team.
Tune in Sunday.
With that in mind, I take Cincinnati at 1.5, and I would stay clear of the game total until I hear a little bit more on the injury front.
Yeah, and this one's pretty chalk from a fantasy perspective until we know more on the injury front. Pretty neutral game script, couple of neutral teams. You did have a big game from Taysom Hill last week. Chase that if you want to, but he doesn't ever really seem to string them together. The Bengals, obviously, you're starting your studs. The Saints, you're waiting to hear on Thomas, Landry, Olave, who all three are banged up. Kamara's fine. You're obviously going to play him, but you're not going to know anything about this wide receiver game until we get to Sunday. So make sure you tune in there to figure out who's healthy for the Saints and who isn't. Because right now, all three of them are banged up.
Plus, is Marshawn Lattimore out too?
I don't.
Are
we on the I don't care about Marshawn Lattimore train yet?
I don't care about him anymore. He's only good against Mike Evans. Otherwise, he sucks.
All right, because I'd be comfortable going to Jamar Chase at 7,700 at that rate. If you don't care, let's go. Let's do it. And then
he is playing the slot more. He's playing the slot more.
Toasted by Justin Jefferson.
And then if T. Higgins is out, Tyler Boyd at 5,100. Can't go wrong in those two deals.
I actually did.
And what sucks though too, for tight end, you can't get Taysom Hill. They put him at quarterback here,
as they should.
Yeah. He also didn't give up Taylor to Lattimore. Let's put it that way.
Well, I hope we get crappy Lattimore. And then Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, I'd definitely start both those two. 6,900 for Mixon, 6,700 for Kamara. That's not a bad price at all, considering most running backs are, I think it's 8,800 is the max. I'd have to see them all.
Dan, counteracting your Lattimore sucks. He didn't give up shit to Robbie Anderson. Boom. Roasted.
Oh, damn it, man. Robbie's always disappointed me.
Christian McCaffrey is the top running back right now at 8,300, followed by Nick Chubb at 8,200. So
that's low, it feels like. But I'm always thinking of FanDuel pricings, which is a little higher than most parts of DraftKings. Generally.
Yeah, Mixon and Kamara come in at RB9 and RB10, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jets at the Packers. Packers are at home, 7-point favorites. 45.5 is a game total. With us being 5 weeks in, and we can start kind of looking at against the spread trends and where teams are at compared to what their lines are for that following week. Green Bay is they're 1-2 when their lines are more than 7 points. They obviously covered against Chicago back in September, but their past 2 weeks, they've also been favored by more than 7 points. They've not been able to cover either. And with that loss against the Giants, I'm taking the Jets. I've been very consistent. I don't believe in this Packers offense. They play slow. The passing game is very inconsistent, and they just don't produce enough points. Jets kind of got that momentum, the big win against the Dolphins, even if it's against the third string, they put that team away. I like the Jets on the road. I'll take the +7, and I'm staying away from the game total.
Yep, fantasy side of this, Alan Lazard is taking back off for a little bit. 16 targets over the last 2 weeks, 10 receptions, 140 some odd yards and 151 yards and a tutter over that. So the target volume is definitely there. And, going up against the Jets, that's a pretty decent matchup for the target volume that he is getting. Both teams use split backfields, but for the Jets, you're more interested in Breece Hall in this one than anything else. Michael Carter did get 2 touchdowns, but slower pace, so just roll with Breece in this one. Other side of this, Packers side, they're still pretty well evenly split, aren't they? Jones and
it's very gross.
I thought it started to
let's look. That's what we do.
Touch wise, it's been very much in favor of Jones. I thought
that's what we do here when we don't know as we go look.
We go look. I laugh about Michael Carter.
Yeah, it was 13-6.
Okay.
Yeah. Jones's snap share was 73% last week, 60% against New England, 60% against Tampa Bay. So it's been about 60-40 in favor of Aaron Jones. It was a little bit of an anomaly against the Giants. So a little hot hand approach, London. So, you're leaning Aaron Jones a little bit more than anything there. Jets on the wide receiver side of this, it's not been great. Wilson's been back for 2 weeks. You had one good game, one bad game for Corey Davis. He's likely to draw Jair Alexander, if I had to guess. Garrett Wilson, since that happened, has not gone over 40 yards. Elijah Moore's not been fantastic either. I'd kind of try to avoid the Jets wide receivers in this one if you can. Again, slow pace. Should be moderate in the scoring front. I don't see anything blowing up here, so stick with Breece Hall on the Jets side.
Love the Breece Hall call.
Yeah, and
all Breece Hall.
Oh yeah.
He had all that work, all for Michael Carter to steal 2 touchdowns from him in the goal. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Oh my God.
I was so angry. I was so mad.
It works out for DFS though, because he keeps him at $5,800 for Breece Hall.
Breece Hall's 58.
Yeah, and so he's coming in at RB19 right now.
He's about to be chalked though. He's going to be played in almost every
cash. Well, one of our players is that we'll be talking about later will be chalked for sure. So, but yeah, in this game, I mean, he had 100 receiving yards. What was it? 70. I think I just had it. So he had 97 rush yards and 100 receiving yards. And those 2 touchdowns that you brought up were a 79-yard catch and tackle at the 1 yard line, along with another 21-yard catch, tackle at the goal line, where Michael Carter came in and made the tackle. But yeah, 5,800 is you have to smash that. That's easy chalk play right there for me. Aaron Jones 7,600. It is what it is. How do you feel about that? And the wide receivers for the Jets would be the ones that actually probably be more consistent in going after, because Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis range from 4,800 to 5,000. So you have a nice middle of the pack type of wide receiver to kind of throw in as a flex, to say what the heck. And then that's pretty much it over here.
Okay.
Game feels a little
right.
It feels mediocre.
Breece Hall.
Let's put it that way.
I just don't want to play. I just want to play most people against Green Bay. Their games. I just hate.
It's just Hall and Lazard.
They're slow and they're boring. And I want to be more excited about the Jets, but they're playing Green Bay. So,
but if Saquon Barkley can do it, so can Breece Hall. I feel like.
Yeah,
I mean Breece. That offense it's starting to trend towards him. I'm all in with you, Ryan.
I'm all in on Breece Hall, but I will also remind you that London games aren't real.
Mercedes Lewis got a fucking touchdown. We know that London games are not real.
Screwed my Robert Tonyan out of it. God dang it.
Yeah. All right. Patriots at the Browns. Browns 2.5-point favorites at home. 43.5 is the game total. I'm assuming we're gonna get another week of Bailey Zappi. I don't think I've heard much news on Mac Jones
Mac
yet.
Jones was limited. I haven't heard anything for sure.
From that front, I'm waiting. I'm not gonna make any decisions now. I'm probably gonna lean the pass on this game. I just don't like either team. I don't trust either offense or defense to keep it going, and that game total just feels like the perfect amount to predict against. So, no, I'm passing.
Kareem Hunt has owned the Patriots. Just a little fun fact.
He's owned the Patriots?
Yeah, 2 games, averaging 13.5 rushes for 114 yards. So, just a little fun note there historically, especially since there hasn't been a lot of coaching staff turnover. He's been getting 10 to 11 carries as well, so you'd get an efficient day from Kareem Hunt. Like I said, you're missing 4 starters. He's another guy that I might potentially target as a fill-in for some of those guys on bye week if you have that option. Other than that, Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson, absolutely for sure. Jacoby Myers gives you a solid baseline most weeks. We did see a little bit of upside last week. I don't think you're going to get the same upside this week by any stretch of the imagination, but the floor's been pretty decent too. He's got about a 10-point PPR floor, so if you need to plug in because you're missing Amon-Ra, it's kind of like Amon-Ra light in a way. And then the other side of this, Amari Cooper's just been double-digit targets week in, week out. That's the only thing you're interested in outside of David Njoku in the Browns passing game. David Njoku, obviously, tight ends are tight ends. We talked about him earlier in the show at length. I don't think I need to go into much more about how Njoku's been, especially lately. He's a plug-in start at this point as a top 4 tight end option.
I like it. Yeah, Chubb and Stevenson, definitely chalk play, especially Stevenson coming at 6,000 right now.
Oh, yeah, especially
He's
Harris.
over. He's more than Breece Hall.
Yeah. He's more than Breece Hall, and Kareem Hunt is $100 less than Breece Hall. So
those are your cash game. Those are your cash game running backs. I think a lot of them is Stevenson and Hall.
Oh yeah.
So it can get you to like a Jefferson and Cup and stuff.
Yeah, just like Hopper said, Amari Cooper, he just came off a 12 target game, and he's had double target games 3 of his last 5. So that's someone to look at coming in at 5,900. I do like the Jacoby Myers call too, like Hopper was saying, because also Nelson Aguilar has a hamstring injury, and he was a limited participant today in practice, so I'd keep an eye on that. But it doesn't matter who seems to be the quarterback. It seems like the Myers is the wide receiver one there for that team.
Ooh.
People will stop doubting that eventually.
And David Njoku, 4,000. He's getting elite type targets. And he's also, but he's starting to move up now. Like he's up to tight end 7 right now, even though there's 11 teams on the slate. Or 11 games, not 11 teams, but 11 games. So it kind of boosts him up because of the 4 teams that are out. But he's truly like an elite type of tight end. He's averaging 5.8 targets for the season and has had 6 over his last 3, no less than 6 over his last 3. And then furthermore, he's caught 84.2% of them, turning that into 24 receptions, 289 yards, and a touchdown. This is what I like, though. Touchdowns are fluky because we know basically all we already know is the one who can really score the touchdowns is Travis Kelce in this league.
Especially at tight end.
Right? Like at the tight end position, it's like Travis Kelce or whatever else is left.
What is his cost again, Ryan? What's
4,000.
Okay.
He's up to 4,000 now. So before he was in the mid threes.
That's still low.
But he's still starting to creep up because he started out, he was at 3,900. So now this is his highest cost now for the season.
So he's up $100.
Well, week 1 he was 3,900. Last week he was 3,800. So he's been moving up and up.
Love it. All right. Vikings at the Dolphins. Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. 45.5 is the game total against the third string quarterback. Vikings are 1-4 against the spread. They haven't covered the spread since week 1 against Green Bay. And you have different varieties of that spread. All of them have, besides the one against Philly, have been favorites. None of them have been this low. It's hard for me to go against this trend, though. Minnesota has a difficult time scoring in the middle of these games, and they're letting these teams get back into what you saw it against the Saints, saw it against the Bears last week. With how bad Miami looked against the Jets, so it's hard just to ignore that. I would lean Minnesota to finally cover a game. And I would stay away from the game total because I just don't trust Miami's offense, especially with news of, I believe both Hill and Waddle are limited in practice.
Yeah, they're both limited, and neither one of them did a whole lot with Skylar Thompson last week when they were playing. I mean, it was like in the 40 to 50-yard range, and just the upside was completely zapped out of him. Sorry. No, it's Skylar Thompson. Bailey Zappi didn't deserve that. He had nothing to do with that.
No, Skylar Thompson. I think I want to say it's more of a mobile quarterback too. So you're getting a lonely day 3 pick with not very much of a passing upside. It just feels like almost would avoid a lot of Miami, right?
Yeah, other than Mostert, if he goes, he's limited with the knee injury right now, and if
he's
not,
already
then,
hurt.
If not, then it's a lot of people are thinking it's just veteran rest, not an injury. So, it's technically term knee, but watch him late week. If he goes, you're absolutely starting him for Miami. Otherwise, just kind of avoid if you can. I know that there's still a lot of people that are going to start Hill and Waddle, but I don't think that's going to be very high above replacement, if it is at all. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, on the other hand, should be full go. Miami's terrible against the wide receiver this season, especially over the last few weeks. And you can roll with Dalvin Cook too. The only thing you worry about is, how well is that pace going to be pushed. So,
how do you guys feel about Justin Jefferson this week?
I'm playing him. I mean,
you're playing him either way.
Yeah, you go for cheap running back so you can get Justin Jefferson at his cost.
Damien Howard.
How high is his price? How high is his price, Ryan?
You don't want to know.
8,900.
How'd you know? What a guess! You nailed it.
Because he's the best receiver in the league right now.
No, he's not. Actually, he's the number 2 receiver. Well, at cost.
At cost. Wait, who's higher than? It's a Cup.
Yeah.
At 9, is he 9K?
Over. He's 9,700.
97?
Yeah.
God.
Was Damien Howard hurt last week?
I have no clue. I don't think about. Unfortunately, I don't think about Xavier Howard.
Shoulder strain. Yeah, he's on the injury report, I think. I don't. Or no, they just haven't charted it yet. Maybe. Either way, 85 yards given up to T. Higgins for Xavier Howard, 3 receptions. So
they say that they're uncertain about him right now.
Yeah,
that's all I see.
Got it.
Do you feel comfortable with Kirk Cousins then at 6,000?
I don't know that I feel comfortable about game script for Kirk Cousins at 6,000. I don't know that I feel comfortable that this is going to require, be high scoring or require that level of passing or anything like that.
Right.
He hasn't looked dominant at all.
No, he's been...
At really any point. Like they game script start the games really well, and it just kind of goes by the wayside.
It goes south. Yeah, it's kind of like stalls.
It's been fucking ugly. It's very concerning as a Vikings fan.
Right. Yeah. There's a game later on that, you can ride Geno Smith in, that I like more than Kirk Cousins if Geno's relatively fairly priced. And, looking through the rest of this, Jimmy Garoppolo's a guy that I don't hate going up against the Falcons. So there's some guys probably price range wise that I'd like a little bit more than what Cousins is.
There is some there, yeah. I can tell you more later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Delvin Cook's at 7,500. It's where I said Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill's at 75, Jalen Waddle's at 6,200. It's pretty much like a wash there of how you want to build that.
So just avoid this game is what it sounds like for when you're building your lineups. This is not a game you are circling to stack more.
No, like if you're looking for like a desperation touchdown, Irv Smith Jr. at 3,200, because that's what tight end is right now, is touchdown or nothing.
Yeah. Even if you're Travis Kelce, he only had 25 yards Monday night.
Yeah.
Like it's 7 catches, 25 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
Four 1-yard touchdowns.
He stole all the goal line work.
You got a formula that works.
He's just so good. All right. Ravens at the Giants. Ravens are 6-point favorites on the road. 44.5 is the game total. Giants have played teams tough. I mean, very, very tough. It's hard to see a 6-point spread and say, I'm going that team against them. They've covered back-to-back weeks against the spread here. Baltimore has been very up and down, wish-washy here, especially from the offensive standpoint as players are getting hurt. Right now, Bateman's not practicing. Furthermore, hurting that passing game. I am taking the Giants at home, and I may sprinkle, as much as Hurst to say, I may sprinkle a little money line bet on the Giants. Who continues? Yeah, they may be the grossest 4-1 team in the league, but they're winning these type of games, and their defense is playing out of their fucking mind. I'll take the under, and I'll take the Giants at +6.
Yeah. Daniel Jones matches up pretty good against the Ravens. There's another streamer you can look at. 5 for 31 and a touchdown on the ground to Mac Jones. But Josh Allen, the mobile quarterback that they've actually placed, 11 for 70 and 1. And then Joe Burrow also rushed in a touchdown. They've given up rushing touchdowns to quarterback the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
And John, that you can give some yardage up against that. And Mac Jones is going to have to run the football. So, or not Mac Jones, Daniel Jones is going to have to, he's going to run because they don't have wide receivers and they don't have healthy wide receivers on the Giants. So, Daniel Jones is a stream that I like this week, given what the Ravens are giving up to the quarterback on the ground. And then I also like, Saquon Barkley, obviously. Hard to pick and say that you have to start J.K. Dobbins. He's looked good with the ball in his hands, but the ball hasn't been in his hands a whole lot. Baltimore's not really riding him the way that you'd expect yet. So keep an eye on that. Bateman will have to watch throughout the week. If he plays, then, you've got flex value in him. If not, Duvernay was utilized. He was targeted downfield. I liked how they tried to get him involved, and I think he could be a sneaky good play. Obviously, you're playing Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. So
obviously,
the deep cuts there are going to be Devin Duvernay if Bateman doesn't go, and then Daniel Jones is a stream.
Daniel Jones would be a fun quarterback to play in DFS at 5,200. Like you said, you get that rushing upside. Plus, with the banged up secondary that Baltimore has, it could be fun to throw on, but I have no clue. I don't know if you guys know who are the Giants throwing to?
They were back healthy. I mean, Marlon Humphrey was playing. They were
one of the best defensive backs in the league right now.
Yeah,
is Humphrey.
They were pretty well back healthy. Baltimore
it's the safeties that are bad. So big play. That's why there's a lot of big playability against them. Is that the defensive backs are very good, and as right as you mentioned, they have no receivers.
And they took that away really, really well against. They had a great game plan against Cincinnati, and they took that away.
Yeah, they just held Jamar Chase. The big it's Zach Taylor. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, man.
I don't know.
Using his best option. But I do like J.K. Dobbins will be at 5,500. I don't know what happened that game last week where they put him on a snap count, which doesn't make any sense. You go from 13 touches down to 8. What's going on? With this pitch count.
Well, and even at 13 touches, that's not
a lot at all.
That's not a lot, and it's not that he looked bad by any means because he didn't, but he's just not getting a lot of the work, even though the efficiency's there, and that's why I have a lot of pause about J.K. Dobbins. It's not him; it's the utilization.
Well, another thing too, I noticed too, with J.K. Dobbins and you look at the opposition rank, they're 12th against the run, and that's the Giants. But what the Giants do is they give up a lot of yardage, but they've only given up 1 touchdown. That was 2. Ezekiel Elliott, that's his only touchdown on the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I if looking too much into that because the yardage is there. We're just hoping for that touchdown, and I think that kind of helps with Lamar Jackson being on the field because you never know if he's going to run it in. So I think Dobbins actually has a good opportunity to get a touchdown on that.
Giants are good against the run too. Giants have been better against the run this year. especially the start.
And Dobbins had just a 39% snap share, and when the game was on the line, it was Kenyon, or when they were trying to ice the game, it was Kenyon Drake, not J.K. Dobbins on the field.
Yeah, it was just so weird. I couldn't figure that out.
I just don't think Dobbins is a full. I just don't think he's 100%. I think that's where the concern lies in. Is I've seen no reports from some of the beat writers I follow.
Like those plays,
sure, but that's why you put him on
strong.
snap count. Is that
well? And here's the other thing, right? The snap share went back down, and the utilization went back down after that game against Buffalo. Maybe it was just that the defense was playing so well against Cincinnati, and vice versa, that they didn't use him. I mean, he made his hay in the passing game against Buffalo. That's where the majority of it came from. So, just another thing to think about. And I don't see this being that same type of game.
if this is going to mirror a game, it's going to be more of the Cincinnati game where
I agree.
I expect it to be close. Giants like I said, Giants defense is very much improved. The offense can get it done. It's not sexy. Like, I don't see the Giants putting up a ton of points.
Me either.
I also don't see Baltimore put up a ton of points. They're not more so one dimensional. Is that they are missing one of their top passing options, and that really limits his passing offense. When Duvernay has to play out of position, he's not a number one. He's barely a number two. And you don't have your guy like Bateman who can take the alpha coverage away. So
I like Madgers this week then at $7,000. At that point, I'd be willing to play him just for that reason.
He's like Kelsey, man. You just play those two. I mean, I know DFS is different, obviously, because of cost.
Yeah.
But, excuse me.
But at cost, I'll take that $7,000 and build around that even.
And naked managers.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. Naked managers. That's where we're at. All right. Last noon game. Niners at the Falcons. Niners are 5.5-point favorites on the road. 44.5 is the game total. I don't know how I feel about either team. Atlanta's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. I think we're edging closer to more Desmond Ridder season. As they continue to lose games. San Francisco's they've been better. The defense definitely has been very good. I'm not sold. I'll take them to cover the 5.5 points, but I'm staying away from the game total.
Yeah, and Atlanta's something I kind of want to stay away from a little bit anyway. Like you said, the defense is good. Tyler Algier should have okay floor. I think that last week that's what I wanted to see from him. And he ran the ball 19 times against Tampa. It wasn't great from an efficiency perspective against a tough defense, but it was something, I guess, for 45 yards. So it's not going to be a much better matchup for him in this one against San Francisco. Drake London and Kyle Pitts have been a little banged up, I think.
I know Pitts definitely has. He didn't play last week.
Pitts has been.
He came back today.
London just hasn't really seen the utilization, and again, you're drawing a tough matchup. So Falcons are pretty much an avoid in this one for me. Now, the Falcons are, the defense isn't great. So Jimmy Garoppolo has been sneaky okay. So you're okay with that. Debo's always got the touchdown and the rushing upside. You don't know how they're going to use them, and it's a little scary for a while, but, you've got that upside there, and that's it. There's not a lot I like. Oh, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson's also been an RB1 with Elijah Mitchell out. So I think Jeff Wilson's the one thing I actually really, really like in this game.
I agree going down. Carrying on with Jeff Wilson. Because I was just looking at his name. I was like, oh, man, I wouldn't mind playing him.
Yep.
Because 6,200, that's not bad. And then the last two games, he's had 18 touches and 17 touches. Well, attempts, rushing attempts. And he's been double-digit ever since week 2, where he also had 18. So he's definitely got all that opportunity to lead to what could be another good game for him. And then I feel nervous about the Atlanta wide receivers because the opponent rank is 27th. But if you're getting A.J. Terrell on, and I don't know if it's going to be on Samuel or if it's going to be on Ayuk, he's been quite the shutdown corner already this year. So I feel like one of these two wide receivers could be a trap. I mean, Ayuk hasn't really been anything. So to say, if you're going to spend up on Samuel because you're thinking you're getting a great deal because of what he's going against, that one could be a trap right there.
Definitely not because of what he's going against. If you're playing Samuel. It's because of how San Francisco utilizes him, and you believe that they're going to find a way to get him the ball in his hands, get him that touchdown, use him in the rushing game, not so much the passing game. What we saw at the end of last year, too.
Yeah, well, if they do use the rushing game, yeah, but it's not going to work in the passing. I don't think he's going to have much passing yards like he did last week. I think he had what?
Well, they also don't
receiving yards.
They also use the receivers so untraditionally compared to what we've seen from most teams. Is that as much as I dunk on Kyle Shanahan for his misuse of George Kittle, he loves to drum out plays that both get Samuel, especially Samuel.
And it's not
like
really
touches.
And here's the thing that you probably don't want to hear. It's not really misuse of George Kittle, who's a really, really good blocker. It's probably the appropriate use of George Kittle given.
I know. That's what sucks. That's
what he's good at.
Yeah,
he's an elite blocker.
You put he's a good he's a great receiver too, but the thing is that Shanahan's going to deploy him where he needs him to win football games, and if that's chipping and blocking, this might be a good George Kittle game because Atlanta doesn't have the pass rush to force him to stay in and block.
And Debo's actually been getting the targets too. Like he only had 2 receptions last week, but he actually had 9 targets during the game.
8, 7, 9. He's getting the work, and 73, 115, and then 20. Last week was a little bit of an anomaly against a good Carolina defense.
And it was pretty much a game in hand. I mean, through most of the second half.
Yeah.
It was a game that it felt a little close first half, and then the Niners ran away with it. I mean, they beat him by 18. So, All right, 3:00 games.
Yay.
Panthers at the Rams. Woo!
Ugly.
Rams are 10-point favorites at home. 40.5 is the game total. Look, the spread seems enticing, but the Rams they're kind of like the Vikings. They like to keep bad teams in it. I'm still not betting the spread because it's PJ Walker, a lot of turnovers incoming, and I'll take the under because I just don't think the Panthers are going to score enough points to push that game total over.
Panthers good defense, Rams out of sync offense. This one is what I'm going to call chalk. It's Kupp, it's Higbee, it's McCaffrey.
That's fun.
Invoice.
Oh, DJ Moore. God, man. Fuck you, Carolina.
Not with PJ Walker.
Oh. His target share with PJ Walker has been good for his career. So when posted, it's like 29%.
Leave him on your bench.
Never mind. I need one good quality highlight for him.
Am I good or am I bad for wanting Cam Akers just to be good this week? Because I just feel like it's got to happen, right?
I feel like a lot of people wanted Cam Akers to be good in general.
Hopper's the last person to ask for that, though.
No,
if you want to ask me for it, yeah, sure. I would love to see a Cam Akers week, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Hopper has been on the Cam Akers as a fraud train since that draft class. So,
I don't know.
I don't think he would have been a fraud if he stayed. If he didn't get the Achilles injury.
You'll never know.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
But McVay doesn't get off him. That's what's it. He Henderson looks better, but he keeps getting the ball to Akers like every freaking time.
Because he's been very consistent on Henderson, and we're going to keep him under a certain touch, and that's it.
But I feel like this is going to be the Akers game, and it's going to be the one that gets everyone back in because Carolina Panthers giving up on average 121 rushing yards and 0.6 touchdowns to running backs.
Well, shit, I really hope he gets that 0.6 of a touchdown.
Oh, hey, it's been 3 touchdowns.
Hey, 0.6 of the ball over the goal line, still a touchdown.
3 touchdowns on the season, if it makes you feel better. But 2 of them came from last week also.
We got a question here.
Thank God.
Terry McLaurin and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Darren. Or no, it was for Kenneth Walker. I thought it said Darren Waller for a second. McLaurin and Clyde for Walker.
I feel like you're giving up too much for Walker at that point. Just because Clyde had one bad game after being so efficient.
He's
so
been
far the whole
efficient,
season.
But he hasn't been the guy from
he would be getting
standpoint or anything like that. You're getting a guy that's got insulated value, but go ahead.
He would be getting Clyde and McLaurin, I think. Other way around, he would be getting Walker.
Oh, he'd be getting Walker?
He'd be giving up Terry McLaurin and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Walker.
Clyde is going to be up and down all season, I think, just because of of the usage. That's a pure RB BC. He's going to have to rely on hyper efficiency. McLaurin has had one bad game. The other 5 have actually been good, decent to good. I think it's close. That's why I'm pausing on this one.
Here's another trade offer that also features Walker. Same guys. This is Ryan in the chat, or not Ryan, Randy. Excuse me.
Sure.
He was offered Kenneth Walker and Drake London for Mixon, which he pointed out he does not like, and I'm kind of
I'm with him on that one. The other one is
I like Walker's. I just like the touch volume a little more than Clyde.
I do too.
That's where I'm stuck.
The inclusion of McLaurin is, making the totality of that value. When I look at, I know I'm iffy on McLaurin too. I got out of that in Dynasty, but I mean, your yardage totals are 58, 75, 102, and 76. The target volume's nothing great. It's in that 6 to 8 range. Just one touchdown in the season. I mean, I think Kenneth Walker very well could outperform the other side of that trade, but it's close.
And if he does this week, you're not getting this deal. It's one of those, and this is Randy. Randy is 1-4. This is 1-4 team. I almost think I'd make this deal.
Yeah, if you're 1-4, you need to try to hit a home run, and Kenneth Walker is the type of upside that could get you that home run. I
like the insulated touch volume compared to Clyde. Clyde will always compete with with McKinnon. You're throwing in Pacheco potentially, and his inconsistent. Like he gets uses in the goal line, which is great, but he just doesn't get the volume. And I don't think that volume is going to be there for him. Walker, on the other hand, yes, you're going to have to keep riding Seattle's offense. We have 5 weeks of pretty fucking good offense, and Rashad Penny was an RB1 in multiple games before he got hurt. And
I think
Walker's it's a better pure talent. He had the big touchdown run too.
Yeah.
And he looked that was a beautiful fucking
and he's explosive. That's what he can do. So I think that try to hit the home run there. He's got a lot more upside than McLaurin and Clyde. Walker does.
That's like the perfect highlight of what you want to potentially do is try to, yes, he would love to move up a little bit more from their Clyde, but I think Walker's the perfect kind of low cost upside right now.
Home run swing.
He blows up this week, you're not getting that deal. Not even close.
No. Yeah.
Do you have
I'm on board now?
And they've got Arizona, so he very well could blow up this week.
Yeah.
I'd take it.
Do you have anything to add to the Niners Falcons game? I'm not sure where we stopped at. I'm sorry.
I think we stopped at the end of the DFS stuff.
Perfect.
We were just kind of talking.
Oh, we're on the Panthers Rams. That's right. I'm sorry. We're on Panthers Rams.
Oh wait, we already forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think we were also still talking.
We can just move on from that.
We were talking Cam Akers. We can move on from that one.
All right. Cardinals Seahawks, as we just mentioned here.
We just talked about that.
A perfect segue. Seahawks are not favored. Cardinals are 3-point favorites on the road. 50.5 is the game total. The Cardinals should be a better team. Seattle's playing, I think, above what are clearly playing above expectations. I do like the Cardinals to cover. It's ugly, but I love the game total to go over. Both offenses can clearly get their shit going, and both defenses are pretty much below average against the mean. So I love the game total. I love to go over, and I'll lean the Cardinals -3.
Seahawks, you can pretty much run chalk on this one. I mean, Geno Smith I faded him last week, and he threw 3 touchdowns, and the Cardinals have not been great against the quarterback. They've not been great on the defensive side of the football. Pretty standard for them, really. Just gave up 30 points to Jalen Hurts, 21 to Derek Carr. Patrick Mahomes had 38. They're giving it up. So you got to chase that. Lockett and Metcalf have both been very, very good, and we just talked about Kenneth Walker potentially having the blow-up week. I'm all on board there. The Cardinals side of this, Kyler Murray and Zach Ertz, and then when you look at the running game, you're going to have to tune in Sunday and figure it out because you got James Conner banged up right now. I believe it's Darrell Williams that's out there that's also banged up right now. So, Benjamin right now would look to be the lead back, and I'm totally okay with that one too if you want to play him. Greg Dortch completely fell off after the return of Rondale Moore, and you haven't gotten a lot out of the wide receivers here. So,
Yeah, I love the call of Geno Smith this week too, because like you said, like you felt you got burnt, but it's like he's in pretty much that QB1 must start every week until further notice.
Oh, Marquis Brown. Sorry, how did I forget about him? He's showing up at the top of every receiving list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can keep going
So I was like I was saying, I just lost my train of thought. But Geno Smith, he's been averaging 20.
Huh?
He's been averaging 27.2. 27.2.
20 minutes.
Ryan's gonna quit.
Yeah.
he's done. He's like, fuck these guys.
I'm going to the hospital. I'm getting checked out. And I'll come back and I'll be.
Are you having a stroke?
No, man, go ahead and file a police report.
Yeah.
Harassment.
He's like me.
You shouldn't have walked in front of me, bro.
No, but Geno Smith's been averaging 27.2 points over the last 3 games.
Oh wow.
Throwing multiple touchdowns in 3 consecutive games, along with 2 300 passing yard games. And the 300 passing yard games are definitely the bonuses that we look for in DraftKings because you get 3 additional points for that. Also, as we like to call it, it's like Hopper's been calling it this game chalk, is going to be Kenneth Walker at 5,400, just because we know he has a lead back. Rashad Penny's gone. He's easily going to be in a lot of lineups. I think he's going to be a highly owned running back this week. And I'm going to detour away from DK Metcalf at 6,800.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to Tyler Lockett again for the 3rd week in a row, just because the Cardinals are actually really good defensively against the wide receiver ones. It's the wide receiver 2s that they have.
2s and 3s I have problems with. Yeah.
Yeah, they held AJ Brown to 3 catches for 32 yards, but Devonta Smith went for 10 catches for 87. So I think this is going to be another Tyler Lockett game once again, while Metcalf kind of has like a down game.
How do you feel about Rondale Moore coming off 8 targets, 6 receptions, and 67 yards? You kind of took over what Greg Dortch had been doing.
I like it because I mean it's not like it was just that game. He also had 5 targets the previous game, even though they only went for 11 yards. They were short, but yeah, like
they're trying to get him involved.
He's a nice sneaky start at 4,200. I wouldn't mind playing him either.
You need to plug somebody in cheap because you go heavy elsewhere. There's floor there for sure.
Yeah, and Zach Ertz is at 4,900, which we already talked about earlier, where he's ranked in as tight ends. I mean, he just had 10 targets, and now he's had triple-digit targets 3 out of his last 5 also. So he's another tight end to also look at when we're playing at 4,900. Not a bad deal.
It's a really good pivot game if you want to try to go away from what's going to be the most heavily game stack game, the next one we talk about. So
let's do it.
Buffalo at Kansas City. Game of the week.
I thought we were going back to Bears Commanders again when you said the most heavily game stack game of the week.
Well, that's not on the main slate, so thank God it's not.
I know, but am I wrong in saying it would be the most heavily game stacked game of the week?
No, you're not wrong at all. That would totally be.
Plays it is game stacked.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is, as Ryan would say, there is Thursday to Monday.
Yeah, nobody has that kind of patience.
Nobody has that time. All right, Bills at the Chiefs. Bills are 2.5-point favorites on the road. 53.5 is the game total. Dating back to last year, Bills have only missed 1 against the spread here. They're 9-1 in their past 10 games dating back to the playoffs last year. Hard to go against them, but it's hard to see the Chiefs, as well as they're playing, not to be favored at home, even against Buffalo. I will take the points given to me, 2.5. And of course, we're betting the fucking over in this game total because we're chasing the points. We are chasing the game script and the points from last year. And let's pray to the football guys this does not end up like the Broncos Colts last Thursday night.
No way this does. Josh Allen's gonna get this one though.
Oh, I mean, this is
chip on his shoulder. Bills are getting this one.
Yeah, I think the Bills will win. the Bills can win and the Chiefs can still win you the money. So because they're not favorite.
Yep. Now, Devin Singletary, yes. Gabe Davis, yes. Isaiah McKenzie if he plays, yes. Stephon Diggs, yes. Dawson Knox if he's healthy, yes. He's tight end.
That's fair. That's it. Someone's got to catch touchdowns in
Travis
this game.
Kelce, yes. Valdez Scantling taking his 6 to 7 targets a game on deep balls in there, yes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the efficiency, touchdown game, yep. Jerick McKinnon, maybe if you're desperate. He's been getting, more of the snap share. Juju, that's where I kind of draw the line at in this one.
If you can't play him this week, when are you going to play him?
Yeah, well, not any of the last 4 weeks, and that's that's why I'm a little turned sideways about this one, because you're right. If you can't play him this week, when are you going to play him? But they haven't used him and maybe hadn't needed him. But I agree. If you're on the fence or looking for who do you rotate in here, this is the game you target. You throw Juju out there with MVS, but MVS is kind of taken over as the guy.
Which means it's going to be a Skybore game.
That has not happened. Come anywhere close to happening yet.
Not even close.
I don't know. I think Juju Smith-Schuster's had 8 targets in those last 4 of the 5.
What did he do with them?
He had 8 for 89 or 5 for 89. I'm sorry. In week 3.
You're playing everybody in this game.
Yeah.
You're playing Khalil Shakir if McKenzie can't go. You might even play 100%. Him anyways, because fuck it. Because I love Khalil Shakir and I want to talk all about him.
You are playing everybody in this game. It's just you're not obligated.
No, you really are.
Juju, if you don't have to. But
you're not. No, you're not.
But you're playing everybody in this. That makes any sense whatsoever.
Hell, Gabe Davis might go for 4 touchdowns again this game. Or he might get 1 catch for 4 yards because we don't know what we're gonna get from Gabe Davis. And that's the greatest.
No, this is where you get the median game. You're getting like 70.
He doesn't get median games.
You're getting 75 and a touchdown out of Gabe Davis this game
on 1 catch. That's all he does. Wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 5. Love it.
I'm gonna call chalk with Hopper on this. Start them all.
Yeah.
On DFS even. Like, you're gonna try to build a lineup around it if you can.
If Knox doesn't go, you just play the backup tight end. We got fucking 6 targets last week.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers his name, but damn it, he played well.
He got as many targets as Gabe Davis. I love it.
Oh, I found his name. Tommy Sweeney.
No, it wasn't him.
No, it wasn't Sweeney. It was not Sweeney.
It was the other guy. It was like Quentin
Davidson. Hang on, I'll find it. Oh, Quentin Morris.
There you go.
That's what it is. It was Quentin. I was gonna go with Quentin Moore. I was close.
Yes, $2,800 on DraftKings. So sneaky start.
If you want a fully game sack this game, this is part of the main slate. This is going to probably be one of the more targeted games.
If there's a .01 start percentage, that's because Chris Hopper started them.
That's because Ryan Marner will. We all know. All right. Probably what the NFL will tell you is game of the week. Cowboys at the Eagles, Sunday Night Football. Eagles are 6-point favorites at home. 42.5 is the game total, which feels low. Then you realize that while Cooper Rush is winning games, it's not really because of him. Because Dallas's defense is very good. I'm still taking Philly in this game. They've just been really had a tough game. They've just been really good. They had a tough game last week. They couldn't really close out the Cardinals. Really couldn't get the game going against the Cardinals. But this is, your rival primetime. Hurts, I think, is the truth. And this is a game I think we're going to truly see it in that primetime moment. So I will take Philly. I'll take the 6 points. I'm staying away from the game total because I don't really trust Dallas's offense enough. And Philly's got a decent defense, so
I will take Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, and Miles Sanders. A.J. Brown's going to draw another tough matchup in this one. Diggs has not been giving up the yardage like he did last year. Interceptions have also taken a hit, but he's been relatively shut down. So
I would take that instead of interceptions as a true shutdown corner.
I would too. And I think that he's adjusted And I think that bodes for another kind of mad game for A.J. Brown. On the Cowboys side of this, you're right. They've been winning games. It's not really because of Cooper Rush, but CeeDee Lamb has maintained a relatively insulated target volume and should be absolutely fine. It's when you get to the secondary guys, especially with Michael Gallup coming back, that it's gotten a little bit more dicey. I'd avoid them. Dalton Schultz is an absolute no. Re-aggravating the MCL, you've had 2 zeros from him. You can't afford to take that in your lineup this week, even if he plays. So stay away from that. Pollard's a better running back option, but Zeke has maintained somewhat of a flex type floor. And again, you do have 4, what would be considered must start running backs not playing this week. So you can probably get away with that, especially in leagues if you had like Zeke and Swift, which is a very viable combo. So
yeah,
that's it.
I like it. I mean, I like Dallas Goddard this week too because just the amount of target share he could see, or he has been seeing even.
Yeah.
But like he comes in expensive this week, which kind of makes it rough because he's at tight end 5 for the week. Ahead of him is Kittle or tight end 4. I'm sorry, tight end 4. Kittle, Andrews, and Kelce are the only ones ahead of him, so he's going to be highly owned this week, I feel. And then, like you said, Dalton Schultz, not even worth starting with all those zeros. AJ Brown, yeah, I would stay away from AJ Brown. I would also go Devonta Smith on that also at 6,200 because you save yourself $1,100 by dropping down from AJ Brown on that. Definitely a nice contrarian play. And then Miles Sanders at 6,200. It's a little pricey, but I really have him. Tony Pollard's at 5,700 and Ezekiel Elliott's at 5,800. I'm just waiting for these two to eventually flip flop because you're still getting the hell of a Tony Pollard game, and with Elliott just plotting, doing absolutely nothing. So
I don't know. I don't know why Dallas is so obsessed. I do know why, but it's so frustrating because you want to believe that Pollard should take that backfield over, but they won't because they're so invested into proving themselves right to play Zeke.
He still had 22 rushes last week. He just was at 3.5 a carry and no touchdowns and had no target share.
He's rookie year Melvin Gordon, and no one wants that.
Yeah, right. It's bad.
Before we get to the last game, we got more questions on what I should do with my team, and I think you guys will agree with my assessment of this. Caden the Cole fans, he's asking, he's in a 12-team PPR redraft league.
Cool.
His team is Brady, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Dallas Goddard, Chris Godwin. He wants to know how he should improve his team. I asked him what his record was where he ranked between points for and points against. He's 3-2, and he is the highest scoring team with the most points scored against them.
You don't do a damn thing.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, don't
let it roll.
Don't tilt on that. I have this exact same scenario and had to get talked out of it in a dynasty league where I'm 3-2, but I think like the second or third highest scoring team. And it was literally just based on, a bad lineup decision or two here and there, and catching a team that, I caught a team that blew up that really shouldn't have blown up. And that's the difference between 3-2 and 4-1. And if you're 4-1, you're not looking to improve that. I got one team on one really, really good week when I had kind of a down week. And, the overall points for, points against tells the story there. Don't do anything.
Yep. Shit happens.
Yeah. And it's not all about trying to make the number one seed. You just get yourself into the playoffs and you let anything can happen with the roster that looks that strong.
Yeah. Actually, as I was evaluating my teams this week, the team that's in that situation, I said check back in 2 weeks and then ask the same question if there's anything I need to do.
Yeah. That's always a good call. There's no need. You don't have to make a big reaction in week 5 when in every redraft league, you still have at least 4 or 5 weeks until trade deadlines come. So
your team's good is what we're saying. Don't worry about one, I'm not sure what your story is, but don't worry about one, you caught somebody on a blowout week or you lost by 1.5 points or whatever. That's your difference between 3-2 and 4-1. You had Godwin out for multiple weeks at the beginning of the season.
And
that could be the difference right there.
And you had a 2-game slow week for Justin Jefferson in weeks 2 and 3, and it took a little bit for Derrick Henry to get going. And as you mentioned, Godwin, he said he's finished. In his 2 losses, he was the second highest scoring team in those weeks.
Yeah, no,
sounds like he's dominating.
It just happens, man. You're good.
Yeah,
you're good. Don't tilt.
Don't tilt. All right, last game, and then we get the fuck out of here. Because for some reason the NFL wants to fucking paint us with Russell Wilson in primetime. Denver at the Chargers. Chargers are 4.5 point favorites at home. 45.5 is the game total. You have 2 good defenses. You have 2 struggling offenses. We don't know what Keenan Allen, if he's going to play or not.
You can't risk it on a Monday night game unless Judy and Cortland Sutton are on that team.
And from a betting standpoint, for this game, you just have to wait. I would take Chargers and the points at home. The Broncos offense, there's no life to them at all.
Melvin Gordon revenge game.
I love
it.
Yeah. I hate the fact that it's just the 3rd primetime game for Russ.
So.
Yes.
I feel like it's like 3 in a fucking row too.
Awesome.
I think it's 3 in a row. I think they got Sunday night.
Well, they had
Thursday
week
night last
1.
week. Week 1, right? Yeah, that's right. They were.
Was it Monday?
They were
night
prime time. I think they were prime time week 1. Yeah,
I got it pulled up. They were
against
week
against
1.
Seattle.
It was
They were
Broncos,
Monday night.
Seahawks
Right?
on Monday night.
Yep.
Week 2, they played a noon game, I think. Yeah, week 2 they had a regular slated game. Week 3 was a regular slated game.
So 3 out of the last 5. So
Yeah,
weeks 1, 4, and 5, they've had prime time.
They've
been bad, and I think they've been bad in nearly every game, besides maybe 1 week where their offense actually put up over 20 points.
Were they prime time?
bad.
They had the Raiders. I don't think they were prime time though that week. Or was that the week that there were 2 Monday night games?
There was 2 Monday night games in week 2. That was Buffalo, Tennessee, Vikings, Philly.
No, they were a 3:00 game against the Raiders.
Was it Sunday night San Francisco? I think it was Sunday night San Francisco.
That was Sunday night. That was Monday
Week
night
4,
San
right?
Francisco, Los Angeles. It was Sunday night Chiefs Bucks.
Okay.
No, like week 3. Like week 3.
Week 3 was
that San Francisco Sunday night?
Sunday night San Francisco Broncos. Yes, in week 3.
Yeah.
So they've had 3, 4. They played.
No, they had the Thursday night game in week 5.
Week
and
5, that's right.
And now they got a Monday night game. So they've only played 2 games in the afternoon slot.
And
It'll be their 4th primetime game.
yeah, it's amazing watching this blow up in the NFL's face. I like the Chargers 4.5. I'm not betting the game total. What's fantasy look like, Copper?
Fantasy looks a lot like, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy have been decent. Run Melvin Gordon. It's not, Russ's totals aren't good, but the wide receivers are relatively supported. So I think he didn't have.
He got hurt, didn't he? He didn't play last week.
He was back-to-back 53 yards. He played last week. He had 8
Yeah, he
targets.
did last week.
Okay, he did play. I thought he got hurt and left early.
No, he had
one of these games.
8 targets, 53 yards, no touchdowns.
Oof.
53 yards and a touchdown the week before. So the volume's been there. He's
The
more
yardage-
he's more fringe than what Sutton is. You're absolutely fine with Melvin Gordon because he's got the backfield to himself. I don't think Latavius Murray is going to threaten that hugely. I think
Mike
that was more
Boone!
of a depth signing. Mike
Mike
Boone ain't
okay.
and shit either. Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett on the Chargers side, obviously along with Herbert. That's pretty chalk. Now Mike Williams will have Pat Surtain. That's not a great matchup, but Darby did end up hurt, so you could be looking at another Josh Palmer type game as well. Out of that.
It's Justin Simmons. Is he out for the year? I don't know.
No, he's back to practice this week.
He's back at practice. It was Darby that got hurt and went out for the year at the ACL tear.
Watch that for Everett if he has to draw Justin Simmons. It's a great box safety. He's also been one of the league's best. So
Coverage, yeah. Broncos have a good defense, so you're playing your Chargers because their offense is good, but don't expect blowups out of any of them.
Nope.
and You're lucky if you get there, but do not expect it. That's it, guys. That's week 6,
week
bye
6.
weeks. Thank fucking God we're in bye weeks now. And yet it's still 10:30.
I know, it's still almost 2 hour, over 2 hour show.
Well, it's because
2.5 hour show. It's because literally we spend the first half hour on news, intros, beer review, whatever. 30 minutes to. Been trying to keep it 30 minutes to recap and look at the overall landscape, and then the other hour and a half is game previews.
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah. We'll see
Let's do it
you
again
guys.
next week.
We'll see you on Sunday.
We'll see you Sunday morning. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No London games. Bye.
We will see you on Sunday morning. All of us will be here.
You're gonna be here.
Yay. At Beerfield. Hey, it's a normal Sunday morning live stream too.
That's what I'm saying too.
Which I don't even know
Yay.
what that is. Are we doing 10 or 11?
10.
10?
10.
All right, cool. Normal 10.
I'll do some. I'll get something out.
Normal 10 a.m. Central Time Sunday morning live stream. Find that on YouTube at Beerfield Podcast. At Beerfield on Twitter. Ryan Miner handling the Twitter accounts there. At Ryan Miner _FFB. At Beerfield Hop with 2 P's. At Beerfield Thury. See you Wednesday. But I don't mean when